think we'll do a few games and if we get some good gains and get to a good place to stop, we're gonna hop over and play some old school RuneScape. Holy, that's gonna be fun. Just give me a second to set things up on my end. I would think I would have them set up beforehand, but no. I don't know. It's mostly RuneScape stuff though. I'm setting up, just getting my set my AFKable activities prepped up so I can actually AFK them. Alright. The downtime for this thing on RuneScape is very low. So I don't know if this is actually AFK friendly. I might just do woodcutting instead. Because I'm doing plank making in the woodcutter guild, and like I said, the downtime is pretty low. But I guess I could just AFK, let it idle a little bit so that we're permanently. Oh, so I just swallowed something back inside me. So we could get the energy regen going, right? So we're never out of energy. That could be good. Yeah. Let's do some warm up. This gun is still kind of disgusting. This gun is pretty disgusting.
Leveled up. I should sharpen a skill.
Ooh, okay. Okay, never mind. Yep. Oh, Jesus. 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 But this cancer, dude. It does so much damage. How is this okay? Wow, that's so insane. Wait. I'm just trying to test out and see how long it will take for it to wind down.
I must choose an enhancement.
2 seconds? 1, 2, 1.5? Okay, like 1.5. Damn, that almost hit me in real life. Okay.
I am at max level.
Oh, God.
Time to make an upgrade and hone my skills.
Oh. The recoil is kind of insane, though. Like, it feels like it's shaking left to right. And on top of going up and down. So it's like kind of hard to get used to. What? Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at those shots. Still does a lot of damage at range.
I've elevated
It's crazy.
my skills.
36. Is it better for me to flick? Like, quick scope in? 36, 84, 60. Well, it depends on whether I'm accurate with it or not. So much damage, bro. There's no way. Alright, let's go. What map is this? E-District! Holy! Alright, let's go. Time for some fist fighting. Excuse me. Excuse me. Whew, okay. I also need to try my crafting on RuneScape, man. I need to get... Is it 80 crafting for glories? But I can go lower. I can go lower if I get boost. So I need Minimum 75 crafting. I'm at 70 right now. I guess I could grind it out at like gem mines or even glass blowing. Hmm. Yeah, because we do have a bit of cash to work with from all those thieving, AFK thieving that we've done in Parlamore. We're doing Expedition 33. Like I've made like 1.6 mil ish this week just AFKing. That feels pretty good. What's that fat rank ladder icon in the middle of my screen? Like, what's that? Energy bank. Holy. Relax.
ourselves inside the next ring. How serendipitous.
An egg dropped out of the sky near me.
有人有人。
I now have an enhanced weapon.
有 R145标一下。
RE45 here.
Attention, Evo harvesters are online.
Extended heavy magazine here. Level 2.
Warning, ring closing.
We find ourselves inside the next ring. How serendipitous.
Extended light magazine here. Level 3.
我这儿有人，来吧。
来了来了，离你有点远，离你有点远。等会儿等会儿。
他走了，他走了，他走了。经标，他去那，他应该是拿经。
Care package on its way. Sweet as.
A care package has touched down over there. A care package has touched down over there.
Evo harvester here.
Big.
I have leveled up. Now, which skill to hone? I have chosen an upgrade.
He's there. Let's
I have a
smash.
subject in view.
Recharging my shields, cuzzies.
Getting shot at. Introducing him.
Time to bind you.
Shields are recharging. Spotted one.
3030。
Another variable for the lab rats.
Finally, something interesting.
Can't possibly hit anything from this range with this gun. Might have better luck with PK.
Firing up. Reloading.
有烽火吗？有烽火吗？
我有。
Administering medical aid.
Phoenix Kid here.
谢谢兄弟。
Fire. These ties bind. Reloading. Shields are depleted. Recharging.
更新之后第一把，咱现在就是得踩点儿了，是吧？
Heading another gas trap.
不见了他们，他们往后退了。等他们打起来就劝一下。
Trap set and waiting.
Enemy
他那边
fire.
有人扫那个 recon 的东西。
My attention is needed elsewhere.
Round 2.
Optics here.
Beginning
Mid-range.
countdown.
The next ring is far from our position.
Success.
我去换把枪，我换把J7去。
Replicator dropping.
Weapons fully enhanced. Nothing stopping Salvo's
Evo
middle
harvester
finger now.
here.
咱们去踩圈儿吧，我感觉大伙儿都去踩圈儿了，现在。
Spotted one. Distant.
我脸上有人，我脸上有人。
Rings fuck. Just tearing cracked that egg shield.
一丝，
在你那里，过来了。
Finally, something interesting. Make you fire proud, wrecking ball.
砸到。
Shields are recharging.
Recharging my shields, cuzzies.
一个奶妈，一个。
我们离圈有点远，还是先进圈吧。
New kill.
啊，进圈儿吧，进圈儿吧。
Surely you can take the title from them.
Evo harvester here. Target spotted. There.
Smell a rotten egg over there.
跳下来了，跳下来了，再捡。不是捡包，还在打，还在爆。抽他吗？抽他！
Time to buy in.
I'm southbound.
我压一下，我压一下。打，
喂，
Take down. Reloading.
先头顶。 顶有的，头顶有的，流血飞回头顶。第四，快睡觉。
Enemy shield cracked.
Killed one myself.
Reloading.
有人坐滑梯。甜点包吧，甜点包进圈了。
刚才跑的人在这里复活。
哦，我听见他的蹬墙的音儿了。没事没事，让他们跑吧，咱还进去卡他们一样。轻型子弹有标一下。
Subject spotted here.
有这儿。
Light ammo here. Subject spotted here. Crafting.
Light ammo here.
Deploying a variable.
哎，前面有人在拉，有人复活。
Far off.
OK。他们在挨冲。
Enemy far. Don't let them slip away.
来，我来回
Repairing
合
damages.
往里进的。
Spotted one.
Yeah, now, healing.
哎，哦，我自己。
These bonds aren't easily broken. Got them.
Eat there, let's smash 'em.
两队。
Data soon to follow.
从右手，从右手，从右手。还在晃吗？桥后边有人，好像你看一眼，你看一眼桥后边。
Arc star out.
Beware. That is a variable.
Being shot at.
我这儿一个，我这儿点上一个。
There's no way out. Enemy shield cracked. Recharging shields.
我这倒一个，我这倒一个，你们打转的。 再打电。
Recharging my shield.
Repairing damages.
Yeah, nah, healing.
我头顶有人哦。这边一丝儿的，这边一丝儿。
Cracked a subject. Subject deceased. Subject dead.
全死了，全死了。开生化枪，开生化枪。
开了，我开了。
Rings near and closing in 10.
Participant spotted a subject. Reloading.
这边要救人，这边要救。
R301 here.
Healing up.
G7 scout here. The ring is coming. Reposition.
Breathe it in. Cracked a subject.
An upgrade has been selected.
Subject down.
Nice。
大电。
Enemy fire.
150。
Squad is on us.
算。
哦，这里150。
Cut down an enemy.
Oh, my Kraber, bro.
Care package.
No, my Kraber.
Time to the world for you.
Oh, that was a headshot.
Let's look over there.
Whatever, man.
Healing up. Getting a bit of holy water.
Expired.
Eat there. Here's a sec, recharging my shield.
I stated too much there. I should have ulted.
Rings near, closing in 6.
Oh well, it's fine.
Plenty of time. Here comes the drill. Being attacked by an
Whoa.
iron
Oh, that's a lot of damage.
拉不了，兄弟！我操，复制器他妈架太死了。
没关系，没关系。
Getting shot at. Recharging shields. Deploying variable.
Oh. Is that no reg on the third one? Lucky.
In progress.
Oh, wait. Sorry. NTR. NTR. Oh, they have 2 assists. Oh, I guess. Hey, Koku no. Something something no Hana. Okay. That's fast loading, actually. Usually we will sit in that screen for like, I don't know, like a solid 20 seconds. Okay, my goal is to make... Oh my god, he has the skin. The skin! He has the Mirage skin! Yeah, my goal is to get around 2000 teak planks so that I could get 70 construction for some of the elves. But also, if I can push higher, I would try to push higher. Because I do want to get an achievement haul so I can get my TPs. Or whatever it's called. Achievement gallery? I forgot what it's called. We're pretty chill. We are chilling. Only team that can maybe invade us is the people from old town. Only. Wait. Okay.
Round 1. Beginning ring countdown.
Our whole squad isn't in the ring. Correct that misstep.
Yummy. I actually don't know this POI super well. Where are the other supply bins at?
Evo harvesters are now
Okay, the
available.
arsenal is here. Okay, no matter what we get here, it will be an upgrade or a future build. Okay, good. That's gonna guarantee us a energy mag upgrade when we get our re. Oh, lovely. Do I want to just run this? Just run the Prowler instead of the Re? I don't know.
Got extra supplies here.
I will run a sniper this game.
But you should.
Killing the sniper this game. Oh, what the hell?
First blood.
I bet that care package
That's a lot of... It's a lot of light ammo.
someone got the party
A
started.
care package has touched down over there.
Shield, never
A
mind.
care package has
Shield
touched down
battery
over
here.
there.
Alright. Wrong gun.
I now have it. I'm
Oh!
fire. Enemy on me. Remember this.
I didn't even hear them. Hello? Where's the audio?
Charging.
Who?
Firing.
Bonds are easily broken. Enemy shield cracked. Took down an enemy. Leveled up. Move this way.
Just gotta patch myself up.
An up. Recharging.
Using the decoy escape. Reloading. I've got you, don't worry. You got bamboozled. Alright, just relax. I got everything under control.
Enemy shield cracked.
Get out there, bamboozle.
Bound by my hand. Throwing frag. Releasing an arc star. Healing.
Into the decoy. Wait, how do I know I'm not the decoy?
Killing and drilling.
Target here.
Oh, I missed.
Sending out another me.
Oh,
Watching it ain't dead.
that's so cringe. Don't hit me. You guys have no home. You better be grateful that's my first game on the Sentinel today. Otherwise I would wipe their whole team. The game just crashed. Okay, never mind. That guy's just AFK. Alright. Have some RuneScape POV. Hell yeah. Here's what I'm doing whenever I'm tapped into RuneScape. Converting my teak logs into planks. I need 2,000 of those to get, well, a little bit less actually. I'm probably around 1,500 away. I need 1,500 teak planks to get to 70 construction. Doing mahogany homes. Oh. Can't craft this in the ring. Okay. Yeah, this will be a lot more efficient if we have a plank bag. But we don't, because we haven't done enough mahogany homes yet. But we will get it soon, and then we can double the plank conversion rate from 27 to 55 per inventory, I think. No, 54, because we also gotta include the block bags. Shoot. Wait. Okay.
Wait, I have crafting to do.
Where's the sniper arsenal?
I now have an enhanced weapon.
Over there.
I don't mind. Everything is complete.
The ring's closing in 1 minute.
Kill, kill, kill.
Positions, check. I think we should move that way.
So we are chilling.
Ring's far and closing in 45.
We are bing, billing, bing, chilling. Yeah. I just ran to the wall.
Zip line here.
Where's my death box?
I see a ring console over there.
You kill leader. Only thing they're leading is my boot to their face.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought that was a death box. No, not death box. I thought that was a medkit. And I'd be like, yoink! My death box now. Oi!
Get a bit of high water.
Yes, give me my select fire prowler.
Now.
Oi! My
Present.
what do you call it?
Ring location. Check your map.
Purple Mac, bro. Come on.
This weapon is enhanced. Beautiful. Dangerous. I bet that care package has some sweet gear for us.
I can't see it. Whatever, I don't care. Steve? Ah! Okay, tell the whole world we're here. I like it. But it does reach high enough. DK. DKDs. Oh, oh no. Oh no. Okay, whatever. We'll run the prowler. If it doesn't work out, we'll blame the prowler and only run today, okay?
Wait, I have crafting to do. Repairing damages.
Enemy right here.
Just gonna pass myself up. Hang on.
You're shooting the
Aren't all
ah, baits.
enemy shield.
So low.
These bonds aren't easily broken.
Alright, whatever.
Another me. Damn, he's good looking.
Gives a sec. Recharging my shields. Guys, ready
I'm a rat.
Shot fired.
Oh, whoa. Ah, okay. Oh! I don't like this!
Go bamboozle.
Okay,
I have sharpened my skills.
don't ask what I just did, okay? Don't ask. We don't talk about it. I'm thinking this, actually. Oh, thank the Lord. Jesus, take my wheel.
Go bamboozle.
Recharging shields.
no one
Okay.
hides from my
I'm not washed from not playing this entire week. No, not at all. They're right there.
Eliminate the enemy.
This one right there.
Enemy shield cracked. Under cover. I'm under fire. Enemy down.
I have infinite ammo! I'm not scared!
That ain't shielded. Recharging my shield.
Hostile right here, right in front of me.
Taking fire.
No! Oh!
I'm under fire.
I've been snared.
Cut down an enemy.
Okay,
Revive me in a sec.
I'm just him.
Like a safer sec from now.
Using a phoenix kit. Recover me. New kill leader. Surely you can take the title from
He's dead.
Replicator incoming.
I'm out of here, bro. Why'd I pick up that?
Good. 1 minute and minimal distance to cover.
Oh, sh.
Focus. Plan. Move. 30 seconds. Not so fast. Time to bind you. Not so fast. Shield cracked. An entire squad gone. How pitiful.
Oh my god, that was the most disgusting third party I've seen in my life. Holy. Flawless timing right there. Not the.
This will bind them. Caught like a rat in a trap. I've secured the banner. A phase tear. Use it. Repairing damages.
Beginning ring countdown.
Target there. Good. 1 minute and minimal distance to cover. Calling down a respawn beacon. 45 seconds until the ring closes.
I'm a hero or what?
30 seconds. Rings close. I'm back. You guys miss me? Of course you did.
And Maggie's back from the sin bin.
Start shots fired and they're hitting me.
Being shot at.
What's up?
Feel it? I don't mind. Everything is cop-like.
Reloading.
Sending out my decoy.
Give a stick. Recharging my shield.
Warning. In progress.
We'll be caught outside the ring if we don't move.
Bam, there goes a boozle. Or something like that.
Oh, so low.
Let's put you in a bind.
1 sec.
Caught like a rat in a trap.
Drilling right through yous. Two enemy squads left. Let's make a meal out of those eggs. Here's an egg. Drilling right through yous.
Get out there and bamboozle.
That egg shield is cracked. Reloaded. It's being shot at.
Squad, adjust your strategy. A tear to give it down. Caught with no way out. Reload.
Oh, there's no way.
Unacceptable. Move this way.
Save the day. Rings close. 45 seconds.
Recharging shields. We have 30 seconds.
Faking him out with a decoy. Alright, just relax. I got everything under control.
I need shields.
10 seconds until the ring closes. We'll shield cell here.
Recharging my shields, cuzzies. Just a sec. Recharging my shields.
Grenade. Needs a little more speed. It's 2 o'clock. Getting shot. Bad news, I'm down. Making contact.
Oh. I mean, not much I can do there. Not much I can do there, really.
Gonna kill some pieces here. Recharging my shields, cuzzy.
Huh?
Your mind should be
Honestly, really solid game from us. We played that. Oh my god, I actually completely smoked that third party. That's crazy. Hey, 139 LP. Let's go, dude. Quite a few teams. Quite a few teams around. Fine.
Go. We're up. If you can't keep up.
Do not cross me.
Oh, actually, I also need to do Guardians of the Rift. on RuneScape too, because we have no more. Oh, not no more. We've got like 400 nature runes, but we need way more. We need a lot of nature runes for high elk in general, high elk for mage training arena, and also plank making.
Hit the jets. We're dropping hot.
Shit, my bad. I did not know I was gym master.
We're inside the ring. One less thing to worry about. Weapon enhanced. Ain't that pretty?
Oh no, that ball.
Nice. Weapon's looking fine.
Enhance my weapon to enhance my survival.
Oh,
See, Mom? Launching to a new angle.
come on.
Backpack here. Level 2.
Evo harvesters are now available.
Shotgun bolt here. Level 3.
Shotgun. Boy. Can I run shotgun?
Good work. We're inside the next ring.
Oh, come on, man.
New kill leader. Call him if you spot him. Medkit here. Medkit here.
Care package being delivered.
Care package incoming. Let's get to the LZ.
Is there a team over here? I'm a little sussed out, but guess we'll check it out. Yummy. I bet. I can't believe I got knocked there
Taking a new angle.
by the arc star that was stuck. That was so depressing.
Check your maps. Got an upgrade. Moving out. Zip line here. Hostiles are making some noise over there.
Honed in on our prey.
Oh!
Marked on your map.
Enemy inside.
Target acquired. There.
Sure. Prey spotted over there. Echo's got an angle. Moving there.
Shooting.
Prey in sight. Adjust your scope. They're far.
I have caught them. Enemy shield cracked. Reloading.
Taking fire.
Another squad is on us. Phase tear ready.
Enemy there with level 1 shields. They've got a friend.
Recharging shield. Repairing damages.
Recharging shields. Taking fire.
Oh, come on.
Attack the prey. Attack the target
Oh.
shield. Opening fire on our prey.
Popping the death box here.
Need a new angle on this. Survey beacon over there. Play in sight. Adjust your scopes. They're far. Oh, I've been snared. Reloading. Spark. Right there. Shattered the prey's shield. Opening. That's another squad shooting at us. Hope they suck at it. Prey spotted here.
Round 2. Beginning ring countdown.
I'm under fire. I'm down. Caught. Like a rat in a
I need your gun.
Giving him the chimney.
Crazy that I love that.
Healing.
I did not deserve to live that.
Right here.
Give it back.
Holy. Wow, okay.
Tagged him. Mark is far with level 2 shield. It's a full squad team, people. Recharging shields.
Got some extra supplies here. You're welcome. Hostile, right here. Target spotted.
Getting shot at. I cracked the target's shield. Firing. Recharging shields.
Hostile, my marker.
Echo's up there. Moving there.
Spotted. Double timing it. Pop in the chimney. Giving my shields a recharge.
Recharging my shield.
Pop in the chimney.
Over here. Follow me.
Grenade.
Play in sight.
It's annoying.
Getting shot at.
Oh, that's annoying. And the Vantage is doing work with her ult. Jesus. I'm use the toilet. Okay. As long as it's not Octane, we are a-okay. Hopefully. Oh, my bad. Oh, safe. Keep going.
The next ring's far. Do not get caught outside of it. Rings a distance, closes in 60, Kazi. Fast, quick gas bagging. We've only got 45 to get there.
Optics here. Mid-range. Always better than iron sights.
Oh, that's Maggie's.
Optics here. Mid-range.
Dibs.
Attention. Evo harvesters are online.
Infinite battery. Not bad.
It's on. Ring's moving.
Sniper stock here.
Blood.
Level 3. First blood has been taken.
Standard stock here. Level 2.
Dibs.
Attention. Delivering care package.
An excellent selection. Care package on its way?
I got you.
Sweet as.
Standard stock here. Level 2. Nice. Weapons looking fine.
I now have an enhanced weapon.
No backpack still. Feels bad, man.
Shield battery here.
A useful tool.
Medkit here. Shield battery here. Let's reposition there. Evo harvester spotted near me. Tango's this way, making some noise.
Extra supplies here. Since your mum ain't here to kiss it better.
Enemy over there. Taking fire.
Time to bind you.
Give my shields a recharge.
Kill leader appointed.
New kill leader. If they're getting cocky, they're getting sloppy. Upgrades locked and loaded.
Rolling that way. Woo! Joyce!
Shoot. Enemy shield cracked. Reloading.
Cracked an enemy shield. Putting lead down range.
Throwing frag. No one hides from my kill
recharge. Giving him the shimmy.
I need to use my bass more. Gotta have the perk.
Company out there.
Whoa. Actual chimpanzee. Holy.
Healing. Watch my back.
Yeah, nah, healing.
Round 2. Beginning ring countdown.
Next ring's far right. Come on, no farting about.
走吧，圈儿太远了，哥们儿。
Replicator being delivered.
Heard that.
Replicators coming in. Rolling. Got an energy arsenal here.
We're close to the ring. We have 1 minute. I now have an enhanced weapon.
Oi, you give me this one, not a mag.
Ain't that pretty?
Seconds and a nearby ring. We strategized effectively.
Weapons fully enhanced. Nothing stopping Salvo's middle finger now. I need a barrel mod.
We have 30 seconds. Prepare.
猜圈儿吧，哥们儿。
I'm going there.
Make a beeline there, cuz
Shield battery here.
Sweet fix.
那边右边往从右边走。
10 seconds until the ring closes. Move.
Half the squads are left. Let's smoke them. Ring's moving. Hustle up. Champions out, huh? Throne's ours for the taking. Care package incoming. Y'all earned this. Just watch your backs.
Go in here. You lot. Get in behind. Optics here. Mid-range. Optics here. Mid-range.
吹塔
Got
啊，
that?
The enemy's
I'll
over
seize
there.
that one.
That's perfection.
Rotten egg over there. Open wide. Here comes the drill.
We will defend there.
这边
I'll tag along, eh?
Opening fire.
Oh, I missed.
Reloading. They will be bound. I'm under fire. Shields are depleted. Recharging.
Throwing Arc Star.
Throwing another squad off.
左边来了，可能是。
Spotted. Double timing it. Come on in. Old Painless is waiting. Giving my shield a recharge.
Reload. Let's put you. Got them. Shields run faster. Enemy shield cracked. We're close to the ring. We have one.
Activating your shield.
Nice.
Enemy down. Taking fire. Squad is on us. I've been snared.
有另外一只旁边，
You're in the chimney. Spotted.
该换个位置
The
了，
next shield is cracked.
Give my
Fire
shield a
laser.
recharge.
Reloaded.
左边有一个小队，左边有个小队。
Drinks near as and work close to duty. Big ups, team.
Oh, nice.
Munted enemy. Far mean.
Big
10
finish.
seconds. Rings just ahead.
Killed an egg.
Reloading.
No way out.
That egg shield is cracked.
看我刀，哥们儿，看我刀，
That worth the assault.
Tear through.
看我刀，走啦！看我刀，
I'm at max level. Time to bring the hurt. Got my upgrade, ladies. 2 other squads left. Stay focused. I'm down. Need a medic.
Rat in a trap.
Reloading. Cut down an enemy. Taking fire. Enemy shield cracked.
Nice.
Another enemy falls.
One less.
Kill leader. One.
看包里有吗，哥们儿？
Drinks near, cuzzies. Got a minute before she closes.
Recharging shield.
Ring ain't far. Got 45 till she closes. Heads up.
Oh, okay.
Beacon.
Redemption.
Oi. Going down.
Let me at him.
Oi. Death box there.
那边有箱子，哥们儿，那边有箱子，可以捡，
Fancy air. We're already inside the next ring.
捡不了了。下边还有一个，可以捡一捡，简单捡。
Enemy down. About time, eh? Drills ripping through. Let's rip. Reloaded. Enemy shield cracked.
不对，
That egg shield is cracked.
Healing. Watch my.
I'm under fire.
Shields are depleted. Recharging.
Thanks. Give my shield a recharge.
Hi,
好
Kraber.
彩吧，好彩吧，开刀，哥们儿，
Healing. Watch my back.
开。
Taking fire. Reloading.
Shields are depleted.
不要了，
Body. Double timing it.
Need heavy ammo.
Opening fire.
他们打起来了，
Here.
Care package there.
打起来了。 没事，他们不在圈儿，不在圈儿。
Shield cell here. Syringe here. When you need a quick patch up. Giving him the chin.
Not so fast. Time to find you.
左边是
Killing a dream. Throwing frag.
70。
Down! You'll be alright. I gotcha. Using a Phoenix kit.
Beginning ring countdown.
Give me a sec.
I've been downed.
打不头子呢。
Shields are loving a frag. We have 30. Repairing damage.
还有能量子弹，没有能量子弹吗？然后58，
Energy ammo here.
谢谢。
Double timing it.
Reloading.
没事，抽碎甲。
Rings close. Closes in 10. Good buzz.
Safety's off, folks. Enemies here.
Drilling right through you. A second squad. Adjust your strategy.
Spotted. Double timing it.
Recharging shields. Final rings. Heal, heal, heal.
Oh, not again.
没事，拖到。
Come on, get up. Don't let her get me killed. Taking damage.
Healing. Giving him the chin. Give my shield a recharge. Hold tight. I got your back.
I've been downed.
右边上面有一队。你屁股有一个。你屁股在上边，上头顶。
Get some. Only once. You'll be alright. I got you.
头顶。
Oh. Dude, I was trying to get a body. I was trying to swap for the Mozambique. Alright, whatever, man. At least we got second place. Oh, okay.
I ranked up.
Like that guy would not get out of my way. I'm trying to loot. It's nice that we finished off those 2 kills though. Really huge flank that I got there. That fuse did work with the Kraber, man. It's crazy. Just one headshot after the other.
Choose your champion.
Do not cross. Again? Again.
Good news. We're already in the next ring.
This weapon is enhanced.
Attention. First blood.
Who got first blood? Oof, I was sure it would be me.
Evo harvesters are now available. Progress.
We're inside the ring. One less thing to worry about.
Hold, please. I'm crafting. Air in the enemy's position to your map. Non c'è di che.
Extended light magazine here. Level 2. Ammo up.
Care package
Optics
being
here.
delivered.
Close range.
Standing by for care package.
Tango spotted.
A care package has touched down over there. Optics here. Mid-range. A care package has touched down over there. Medkit here. I now have an enhanced weapon.
Evo harvester spotted near me.
I've left.
Hop in the chimney.
I have sharpened my. An excellent selection. Evac tower near me.
Attention. The champion has been eliminated.
Hmm.
The champion fell.
Ma.
They did not deserve the title. Survey beacon there. Shield battery here. detected near me. Possible targets.
Tracker that. Out.
Enemy over there.
Let's go see what's up over there. Who's ready to fight? Because we've got an opponent nearby. Damage. Time to let this thing.
Let's put you in a bind.
No, not down.
Hold tight. I got you back.
Cut down an enemy. Enemy killed.
Not bad.
Healing.
Replicator dropping.
Third party arrived.
Got company out there.
Gonna regret this.
Reloading.
Target spotted here.
Enemy there. Reloading.
Charging my shields.
Hostile over there. Target spotted.
See.
That was the energy ammo in this video game.
Tracker that. Out.
Popping smoke. Already on my mark. Firing for effect.
There's a new kill leader.
Tear through.
A broken enemy shield. Reload. Contact. Throwing arson. Oscar Mike. Spotted. Giving him the chimney. Tango down.
Open fire. Grenade.
Not so fast. Time's up. Out, folks. Enemies here. Enemy down. This place here. One less. The second squad. Adjust your strategy.
Tango near me.
Reload.
Tracker out. I'm scanning for enemies.
Recharging shields. We have 10 seconds. Move with purpose.
It's okay. I don't think anyone saw. Except whoever shot.
Frag out.
Out in the chimney. Give my shield a recharge.
We'll be caught outside the...
Recharging my shields. Cover me.
Healing. Watch my back. Up in the chimney.
Come on, heal, heal, heal.
Ooh, got a care package dropping.
Shield battery here. Care package there.
Oscar Mike, I'm spotted. Give my shield a recharge.
Confirmed hit on target. Reloading. Give my shield a recharge.
Target there.
Another.
Top in the chimney.
Oh, no way.
Give me a sec. Recharging shield.
What are you doing? What did this guy just do? That's crazy. Oh my god, flashbang. Alright. Well, I think I'm done with Apex for today. I'm gonna play some RuneScape. I wonder if 1k is enough for me to upgrade, or not upgrade, to buy the plank sack. It's about 15 planks per contract. If you overestimate the cost a little bit, so I would have about 60 to 70 contracts in me, probably around 65 contracts in me, and 40. Sorry, a contract is worth 4 points, so 65 times 4 is 5 times 4 is 46, right? No, 26. 3600. I mean 2600, of course. 3600. What? No, 260. 260. Sorry. What am I doing? 260 points, and I currently have about 100 and some, like a little over 100 points saved up. So that should be enough. 1k planks should be enough for me to get my plank sack. Well, it should be more than enough actually, because we're overestimating the cost a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then we're gonna do Eclarin's little helper, like the bullet, do that stupid quest, and then we're also gonna use this chance to also start contact and finish rat catchers, because I have a clue step that requires me to have the RD rat pit soundtrack unlocked. So I need to get I need to finish that quest. Yeah, once we get lunar magic done, or what's it called, plank make unlocked, and we have enough runes, we will be able to, what do you call it, AFK make planks instead of doing this stupid back and forth, which is pretty high maintenance actually. More than you would think, because I have to click twice to actually go to the sawmill, because the render distance is too short to render the sawmill guy. Okay, 943. We'll walk this final lap. I'm gonna pull up some YouTube videos to watch while we do this. Wuthering Waves version 2.6, scheduled for today, actually, at 7 p.m. Okay.
Cooked now. He just appeared in court and Johnny Somali is completely cooked now. He just
Oh,
appeared
really?
in court and it went absolutely horrible for him. He's potentially looking at over a decade in prison now. So we're gonna go over his whole appearance. He's no longer smiles and giggles, it seems. We'll look at the legal analysis of what went down in court the other day. Fellow commentary channel Atozi has also gone to the trial in person. That's a dedicated hater. I respect it. Johnny's best friend Hank is also threatening to sue Legal Mindset and a bunch of other people for defamation. Subscribe or you end up like Johnny Somali, an absolute disgrace to society, facing a decade in prison. Now, quick recap for the newcomers. Johnny is this pathetic loser IRL streamer who went to different countries and committed several crimes. Here is his list of charges. We got 4 obstruction of business counts, 2 minor offenses act, and 2 deepfake counts. And he did stuff like disrupting 7-Eleven, disrupting the bus system, disrupting rides, lots of harassment. Here we have the various penalties here, and we can already see he's pleaded guilty to 4 charges, and that's about to increase after this court appearance. So anyways, let's begin with attorney Legal Mindset talking about the whole court appearance. First, he talks about Johnny coming to court.
Khalid Ismail, aka Johnny Somali, had a disastrous day in court today where pretty much everything that could go wrong went wrong. Ramsey Somali was late by a few minutes. Hank and Ramsey's lawyer went to find him. So Hank went out to find him. Ramsey's lawyer went out to find him. Eventually, they did find him. When he came in, he was dressed in a suit. He had a nice buzz cut. You're going to see photos of him later, but he looked gaunt. He looked thin. He had deep circles around his eyes. It was described that his deep circles had circles. He also was resigned. He did not make faces. He didn't look around at the crowd. He didn't stick out his tongue like he did in previous engagements, previous court dates. So he had a huge attitude shift going forward into this date.
Wait, what's that? Johnny is no longer cocky. The absolute piece of shit has finally learned his lesson. I mean, yeah, this is kind of expected. That kind of happens once you're facing up to like 12 years in prison time.
Yeah, literally ruining his life.
And the same thing basically happened to
Hey, that's
Philippines, if you remember.
1,000 planks
In
the bag.
And then we saw like
We'll do a little housekeeping farming runs, because I also need to get my farming up for some of the elves. And a few achievement diaries, so we'll do this.
They're not feeding him or whatever, but Filipino detainment is a different level, all right? Now, I don't know if Korea is going to be as bad, but prison is prison. It's not a pleasant experience. But honestly, is anybody actually shocked that Johnny was still late to court? Like, this is his life on the line, his entire youth, right? This is like a decade of his life. Very important to actually show up on time, you know.
That's everything, right?
The judge some respect, show the court some respect, and he can't even do this. Then he talks about Johnny's best buddy Hank here, and basically this guy has been literally like nurturing and feeding Johnny as he's broke.
Isn't he his lawyer?
Here.
Did Hank lie? Now, Hank, in an interview recently with K-Town Social Club, said that Ramsey is no longer living with him, and Ramsey gave Hank's address in court. So either Hank was lying on the interview or it's contempt of court. It's contempt of court. That's an additional crime that he's committing there. Or Hank is lying. I'm not going to say which way it is. You guys can kind of make up your mind. Most people seem to think it's probably a lie to throw them off the trail, but who knows? We don't really know. Hank also appeared to be distancing himself from Somali in a recent interview, but he sat in the front row. He went to find Ramsey, and he escorted him home with the lawyer in a cab. So he essentially was right there winging him the entire time.
You know, Hank might actually be the second saddest man alive apart from Johnny. This guy literally imploded his entire life and his relationship with his own family just for Johnny Somali. And I just can't wrap that around my head. Like, I would understand if they're like lovers maybe, or like, I don't know, I'm making speculation here, because like, why the fuck would you do that? Is he your like long lost cousin or some shit? I have no idea why he's decided to take on this
Magic seed, holy, that's huge.
I mean, why would you throw away your life for an abnormal Titan from Attack on Titan? You can't be serious, dog. Then he talks about Ramsey's lawyer, the absolute poor sucker who has to actually argue his case.
Ramsey's lawyer. Now, this is not to say he's incompetent or there's anything in terms of skill. Once again, as a lawyer, even if you're an amazing lawyer, you can be handed a bad case. The other thing that's going on here is if the client tells you to argue something, you kind of have to argue it even if you don't want to. So if the client says, hey, I want to plead not guilty, but you don't really have any evidence, you don't have any backup, the argument really doesn't work, well, you have to go with that. And even a really good lawyer, even an amazing lawyer, can kind of be put in a bad place. And I kind of feel bad for Ramsey's attorney because it's very clear that Johnny and his, fools on Discord, etc., are feeding these arguments in that just do not work in court. They're not Korean lawyers. They don't know Korean law. Johnny's not a Korean lawyer, but he's trying to force these arguments that just don't work in the Korean system. And it led to a lot of losses today, loss after loss after loss. There was not a single win, even procedurally, even small victories.
The thing is, it is literally an impossible task for any lawyer to do because the case is so completely cooked. Like, there's no way to argue this in a way that you actually win. But I mean, he probably is still gonna get paid, so I'm not gonna harp on the lawyer too much. He's basically just doing his job here, right? And I find it funny that Johnny was actually so cocky. I guess some people were feeding him lies that basically, according to this law in the US or whatever the hell, you might be okay, you might get off scot-free or here or whatever. But these arguments
My first magic seed?
in the Korean legal system, which is an entirely
It is, holy,
ballgame,
okay.
right? This is Asia, different laws, different practices, different rulings here, and most importantly, they don't fuck around. Like, they don't just let criminals free or whatever. There's much like harsher punishments here. If I had to guess, Johnny's probably asking his lawyer to pull off a miracle and make him walk free, and the lawyer is obviously saying that no, we can, probably try to reduce your charges as much as possible, but you're never gonna go free, and that's probably causing the conflict there. So then he talks about Ramsey's lawyer performance.
So right off the bat, the first thing in the hearing was the judge asked Ramsey's lawyer for any specific evidence on the crimes Ramsey pled not guilty to. So specifically the deepfakes. We're talking about the deepfakes for which he pled not guilty. So the judge says, hey, what evidence do you have? And the lawyer was completely flustered by this. He could not answer. He said, hey, we submitted that to the court, so, you should have that, right? But he couldn't, when pressed, give any of the information, any defense at all. He couldn't remember any specifics. That's not good. Now, what may have happened here is Johnny may have had this packet of information, perhaps the dossier prepared by his Discord, which was submitted to the judge.
Very rush.
However, didn't really memorize that, didn't really go through it. Maybe he's busy, maybe didn't have time, maybe didn't understand it. Who knows? We don't know what's going on. But that was a very bad look and did not look good in court.
Oh my god, man. If it couldn't get worse, his own lawyers are just leaving him out to die now. I feel like most lawyers would be prepared for something like this. Maybe a crazy conspiracy theory? Is this on purpose? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. I'm guessing that it is some form of incompetency on Ramsey's part that is poorly reflecting on the lawyer here. I imagine they know their shit, obviously. But anyways, after this, Ramsey's lawyer tries to argue like the smaller points to get a win in court based on the, little bit of filings of like this was late or whatever. So the prosecutor got pissed.
Ramsey's lawyer tried to complain about late notice and procedure, and he tried to kind of make it sound like the prosecution was doing something bad or untoward or unofficial or breaking the rules. And now the prosecutor, and I have been in this courtroom, I've seen the prosecutor. The prosecutor looks like a very nice, mild-mannered, calm guy. I watched him an entire day in court cases. I sat in another day and watched like 6-7 trials. This guy never was aggressive, never got angry, was very calm and collected, very professional. But all the reports from the courtroom today, and I went over several after the stream, I asked several sources, I said, hey, was this what happened? And they said, yes. He aggressively countered Ramsey's lawyer in a way in which is not typical for a prosecutor to normally do. Pretty much, Ramsey's lawyer was saying, hey, you're doing something wrong. And the prosecutor got up and said, oh, hell no. And excuse my language there, I'll put some in the swear jar, but said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. All notice we gave was proper. Everything was legal. We followed the procedure. And the judge quickly stepped in and took the side of the prosecutor, not Ramsey's lawyer, overruled Ramsey's lawyer and said verbatim, this is not an issue, move on. So absolute procedural L, massive procedural L
Old
for
flags.
Ramsey's
Huge.
lawyer.
Man, oh man. I mean, getting
Strawberry
owned
is
on
nice.
stream is one thing. Getting owned in court is a different level of cinema. I mean, we've waited for this for about a year now, and it is finally happening. Ramsey is finally getting cooked in court. And I just love how the prosecution is not taking any shit. They are countering everything like a fucking Wobbuffet from Pokemon. Also, the judge siding with prosecution here, obviously not looking very good for old Ramsey. Right, so remember how we saw that list of charges for Ramsey, right? Well, apparently Ramsey has plead guilty to the new obstruction charge as well, and basically everything is coming out to be guilty, which is just not looking good because these charges stack on each other and leads to an even longer prison sentence.
Going beyond that, there was the new charge, the charge of the additional obstruction. That's once again the fourth charge, the fourth obstruction charge that was coming up. It was revealed that this new charge, was for conduct on 2 Seoul buses on September 27, 2024. Now, this was for, they stated stuff like playing loud music in TTS and playing North Korean propaganda. Now, mind you, he is not charged under the terrorism statute, under the terrorism law. He's still charged under obstruction of business. So it doesn't change the nature and make him guilty of terrorism. However, it does conclude that they were factoring in the fact that he was playing North Korean propaganda. They know, and they were listening to that. It says that disturbed the passengers, it disrupted operations, and ultimately for a obstruction of business, if you disturb normal operations of business, you are guilty. So, therefore, Ramsey knew he was dead to rights on this and pled guilty to this new obstruction charge. So, once again, another guilty on the bucket.
Holy shit, dude. The charges keep stacking like a fucking fighting game multiplier. ×2, ×3. Oh my god, bro. But honestly, in my humble opinion, this lobotomized freak here is not gonna last a single year in prison. You think Ramsey, this person who has absolutely no discipline, no level of, ability to follow rules at all, is going to last in prison? He's probably gonna end up causing a ruckus in there and making it worse for himself. Now, I find it funny that Legal Mindset mentioned the terrorism charge. I feel like the terrorist propaganda charge is definitely reserved for the old Hamas piker, of course. And don't worry, the day is coming, all right? It might take way longer than Johnny here, considering this guy just sits in his fucking multi-million-dollar mansion. But I feel like eventually this guy's gonna slip up, go outside, commit a crime, and get arrested. And that day, we will be sipping on ice-cold orange juice, of course. Right, so then he talks about a switch-up in his plea in regards to the Lotte World charge. Now, the Lotte World or whatever is a theme park in South Korea, and Ramsey had some shenanigans there as well.
So previously, Ramsey had pled not guilty to the Lotte World charge. That is going into Lotte World, causing a scene, disrupting the ride, causing the ride to close. So we had a huge surprise today. We thought the witness for today was going to be Bong Bong. Everybody thought that, myself included. And you know what? I was wrong. Look at that. I'm admitting I was wrong here. It was actually the witness that was a staff woman from Lotte World who repeatedly told Ramsey not to film. She was actually quite disturbed by the fact that he would not stop filming, and you could see that in the video, in the original video. And Ramsey changed his plea to guilty on the Lotte World charge. He may have been gambling that the Lotte World witness would no-show and saying, okay, if the witness no-shows, then okay, we can go with not guilty because she's going to no-show and not be there. However, she showed up and was highly motivated to be there.
Yeah, highly motivated is diabolical. Oh my god. This guy has professional haters, bro. Oh my god, like highly motivated. Like we got people flying in just to see this guy in court, bro. Amazing. I mean, this was just a pathetic attempt to escape a charge, and I'm so glad that it did not work, that he tried to fucking plead not guilty and hope that the witness doesn't show up or whatever. It was like a last-ditch effort or whatever, and completely backfired because of the dedicated haters. Shout out to all the dedicated haters of Ramsey here. Absolute cinema. Right, so remember at the start how he pleaded guilty to 4 charges? Well, now it's 6.
He now has 6. Count it, 6 confirmed guilty charges. 4.
It really is racking up.
2 minor crimes. So he is a confirmed repeat offender, repeat criminal with all of these. And once again, each charge stacks up the amount of time he can be in jail. At this point, the maximum is 12 years. However, even the default, even the standard punishment would be over 4 years in jail. Even if they don't give him the aggravated maximum of 12 years, the standard, the non-aggravated, is 4 years and some change in terms of months. So even not counting the deepfakes, this is very, very serious.
No way, this is without the deepfakes? max 12 years and minimum 4, like the default is 4. This guy is so fucked. Bro is not gonna get past 1 year. He's gonna crumble like a fucking cookie in there. Now, I don't know the conditions of prison in South Korea or whatever. I don't imagine it's as bad as the Philippines or Vitaly. That place is a different level of hell, all right? So you don't commit crimes there or whatever. But prison is prison. It's not gonna be pleasant. It's gonna be pretty fucking bad. And the worst part is the time, like a decade. Johnny's a young guy. This isn't like a 60-year-old fucking dude. Even then, it's obviously pretty bad. But this is your youth, like the best years of your life. You have thrown it all away for a little bit of fucking clout on the internet, dude. Honestly, let this be a lesson to any like upcoming streamers as well. If you want to try to harass innocent people for your viral clips or whatever, this is how you're gonna end up, all right? In prison, getting absolutely toasted by the internet, becoming a laughingstock of the internet, and yeah, your life is completely cooked. So then he talks about the charges sheet and he updates it.
4 guilty for the obstruction of business, guilty on the Minor Crimes Act, and not guilty on the deepfake. These are his pleas. Of course, he's going to have to fight this at the next trial, and I do believe there's sufficient evidence to find him guilty on the deepfake counts. We're going to talk about that next. Kind of got 2 obstructions for the bus, one for Lotte World and one for 7-Eleven. This is not just about a cup of noodles, folks. This is much more than a cup of noodles. The deepfake was a disaster for Johnny's defense. They pretty much confessed. Let's talk about this. So Ramsey's lawyer argued that Ramsey doesn't know how to make a deepfake, that he is incompetent to make a deepfake, which, look, we all know that's BS.
Yeah.
It takes 2 seconds to make a deepfake. There's AI, there's other mechanisms. Anybody can make a deepfake, and Ramsey is certainly capable of it. But beyond that, that's what the lawyer said makes him innocent. The lawyer said he didn't make it, so because he didn't make it, he's innocent. But the prosecutor immediately countered, once again, getting up there, getting in their face. Great job by the prosecution, amazing performance. Said, so you deny making the deepfake, but you admit, you confess to distributing, which is publishing the deepfake.
Absolute goated prosecution right there. Totally got him on
Got
that
him.
one. Obviously, publishing and distributing is still a crime there. Yes, truth is, yes, anyone can make a deepfake. Ramsey apparently did not have the intellectual capacity to click 2 buttons, but he was stupid enough to still fucking, publish this and stream it. And I feel like even if he pretends like, hey, I didn't know the rules or whatever, this is like a common sense thing. Obviously, you cannot be streaming that material to thousands of people or whatever. The main reason being that it is still harming the individual by spreading that material, obviously. And I think that anybody with a shred of common sense should have known that. And Ramsey absolutely deserves this charge. Like, there's no fucking sympathy for you. Right, so this next part, we look at Ramsey's lawyer's defense. And it was so bad. He says he is drunk. Okay, I'm drunk, so therefore I streamed and published deepfakes on the internet? I mean, how many times, how many cases have we heard the I'm drunk excuse? It's not gonna work.
Ramsey's lawyer said, well, he was drunk. He admits distribution, but denies production. Being drunk or high or whatever is not a defense. It's did you do it or not? There's no state of mind involved here. So being drunk is not at all going to mitigate this or make this better or make him not guilty. That is not going to work at all. But the bombshell admission is the admission of guilt as to production. It's not relevant. The only thing that's relevant is that Ramsey distributed or published it, meaning whether or not Ramsey made it is irrelevant. And just to prove that, let's look at the statute 3 here. It says a person who commits a crime under paragraph 2 by means and information of communication networks against the will of the subject, Bong Bong and Youngman, and making profits, he was streaming and making money, shall be punished by imprisonment with labor for not more than 7 years. Does it say a person who makes a deepfake? No, it actually doesn't say that, although it does have in another statute in number 1, a person who edits it, synthesizer process. But number 2, it says a person who has published. The only thing that's important to the crime is that he put it on screen. And because he has now confessed, he put it on screen. In the eyes of the judge and the prosecutor, it's done. It's a shut case. It's over, baby.
Ah, he said it. He said it. It's over.
He said the thing.
It's done. Ladies and gentlemen, never accuse me of clickbait ever again. It's a future prediction. What have I been saying? Johnny Somali, Ramsey, Ismail, or whatever the his name is cooked. He's done. It's over. In court, legally, by a lawyer, by a judge. It is official. I mean, it really seems like Ramsey's lawyer is trying to pinch pennies here and basically trying to form an argument out of absolutely nothing. And I don't really blame him. Like, he's just sort of doing his job here. It just sounds a bit ridiculous because he has nothing to go off of. He has to come up with some absolutely random shit like, oh, he was drunk. Well, I guess that is the excuse, right? And obviously, it's not gonna work. You know, I still respect the hustle by the lawyer. Do not respect Johnny, though. It's also very clear from the article right there that publishing is also a crime. So there's no real wiggle room there that I didn't make the deepfakes, therefore it's not a crime or whatever. It's just sort of
No, but
those
sad.
common sense things that anybody with a
Okay.
functioning brain and a little bit of empathy would know that, hey, this is probably a crime, right? Anyways, after this, apparently Ramsey's lawyers were trying to prevent allowing the deepfake witnesses.
So Ramsey's lawyer was fighting tooth and nail not to allow the deepfake witnesses. He did not want those deepfake witnesses to come in. That would have been disastrous for him in his mind. Well, the prosecution argued that since Ramsey admits distribution but denies production, the witnesses have to be allowed. They must be allowed for arguing back about the production. The judge sided immediately with the prosecution and allowed the witnesses. Said, no. Now Ramsey's lawyer said, okay, I want extended cross-examination. Instead of the standard 15-minute cross-examination of each witness, I want 25 minutes. The judge denied Ramsey's request. Guys, this is massive. In Korean procedure, in discussing this with lawyers and people experienced with the process, this almost never happens. Typically, if they request this, they give it. This is the judge telling Ramsey to cope and seethe. It's saying, we don't think your defense has enough. It's not worth it to give you 25 minutes. It's not going to prove anything.
Right, so you're telling me they got bitched in court, right? That's basically, I mean, that's like the translation of what he said there. So they didn't even grant you an extra 10 minutes, dog. Ain't no way. That's how bad your argument actually was. That's how cooked Johnny Somali actually is. They didn't give him an extra 10 minutes to actually argue his case because they just want to get it over with as soon as possible. They know that whatever they hear is going to be a bunch of bullshit. Shit like, well, he was actually drunk. That's why he, you know, posted the deepfakes or whatever. So, oh my God. I'm just like giddy with excitement here. Seeing the scumbag, another scumbag getting put in prison. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a good day. It's a good day. Anyways, apparently Ramsey has a new look now and he was spotted trying to leave court. And usually he tries to like talk to the media and, you know, troll around a bunch. But this time, dead quiet, trying to escape, you know, running away from the guy trying to film him as well. He's just trying to get in his car, get the hell out of there. And he's very somber, very serious, very uncharacteristic of old Johnny Somali here.
We had a little action outside the court. Here's Ramsey leaving the court with his buzz cut, his new buzz cut, the suit. You see him there with Hank there. Definitely a different look today. So Ramsey quickly left with Hank and his lawyer. They did not interact with media or streamers. They avoided a kick streamer, Paul Risen, who attempted to interview them. And the streamer appeared to be anti-Somali generally, so maybe Somali knew that. But what I'm saying is he wasn't interacting. In the past, he was cursing at people. He was taking interviews. He was saying stuff. And he was smiling, smirking. Now he quickly ran to get in the cab. He wants nothing to do with the media. It reflects that I think he realizes this is serious and he's about to find out. He realized this was absolutely a massive loss for him today.
Wow, interesting. Cat got your tongue, Johnny? Wow, I can't believe it. You're so quiet. You were talking so much shit, though. What happened now, buddy? Dude, this guy has been talking so much shit for a literal year now. Like, oh, I'm never gonna get
really been a
arrested.
year?
I'm never gonna get any
Holy.
charges. So unbelievably smug. He was so convinced. I don't know who was filling his head with lies, or was it his own like narcissism or whatever, telling him that, hey, you know, I'm gonna get away with this completely scot-free. And now what happened? And now what happened, buddy? You're just very quiet now. It's interesting. It's interesting. Brother is scuttling like a scuttle crab from League of Legends. You know that fat piece of shit? He's out here trying to hide from the media when before he would literally give off his right thumb, give off his left toe to make sure he's in front of a camera and everybody can capture him and see what he's saying and go viral for all of these stunts or whatever, right? Ladies and gentlemen, it seems like the internet slogan of "fuck fuck around and find out remains true. It rings true. It is amazing. It's actually happening. It's been proven once again. Right, so here's what people are saying. His defense is basically, I am very guilty, but not super duper guilty. In Asia, there's a saying, what your parents don't teach you, society will. Very true. Your Honor, I did distribute the drugs, but I'm not guilty because I didn't make them. Also, I was drunk. Is that seriously the defense? That's basically what it is. I feel so bad for that lawyer, bro. Imagine having to argue this case. Mad respect to Ramsey's lawyer for intentionally tanking this case. The sacrifice of his career will not be forgotten. Moving on to fellow commentary YouTuber Atozi actually flying and going to court. The professional hater.
Okay, so we just got out of Johnny Somali's third court day here in the beautiful yet rainy Seoul, South Korea. And it's safe to say, last time things went terrible for him. Today things went awful, and honestly kind of embarrassing because a lot of the stuff they did not make sense whatsoever. Clearly, he was way more locked in. He realized how much he screwed up now it seems like, and he's realizing, uh-oh, I might be stuck in prison for a long time. So today, at least he was very serious. So, currently he's facing 8 counts, or 8 charges, and 4 of which are obstruction of businesses, 2 of which are misdemeanors. He pled guilty to all 6 of those charges. So currently, the legal analysts I've been talking to, they're expecting a 5 to 8 year sentence for him from all this. So that's definitely going to be very interesting to see how all this pans out.
Dude, shout out to the homie Atozi right there. Legendary hater right there. Bro literally flew to court, bro. That's absolute cinema. I'm obviously kidding. He's a super chill guy. He's covered Johnny Somali very well. If you want to get a quick recap of everything, go through his like list of videos, everything. If you're on the Hassan series here, Johnny Somali there. Yeah, great job with him. Absolute GOAT. Now moving on to Hank, the absolute clown here, trying to sue Legal Mindset and a bunch of other people for defamation.
So you admit that Legal Mindset, that guy has the right to say everything he says, but you see an opportunity to try and get some money, so you're like, you know,
Might get
money or whatever.
the option here.
That guy's not pro free speech, so
That guy's not pro free speech. That guy's not pro free speech. I am extremely pro free speech. Anybody who knows me or watched my channel for 2 seconds knows I'm pro free speech. That is insane. What I am not is pro criminality. It's pro criminality. And me covering criminality and legal issues on the internet is 100% free speech. Anybody who has a problem with that is anti-free speech.
Dude, what is wrong with these people? Legitimately cannot take any criticism at all, and now they want to sue. Like, you're talking about defamation when we're literally just talking about what you are saying and the clips, you know, you and Johnny Somali are doing. This isn't defamation to literally point out that you're committing crimes here. You know that saying, don't do the crime if you can't do the time? Well, don't talk shit if you can't get talk shit back. That's a Pegasus quote right there. Jesus Christ, I completely butchered that. But you get the point. Anyways, then he talks about all the people he wants to sue.
That he wants to sue several people. He wants to sue Atozi, me, 15 Minutes, the Korean streamers. And while the Korean streamers are a little bit of a different case because they're in Korea and Korean law will clearly apply, they'll be more easy to serve, etc. For Atozi, myself, 15 Minutes, a lot of the other people have been covering this. He wants to sue Asmongold or whatever else, anybody who's covered this on the internet. It's going to be very, very difficult. We're going to talk about those challenges. But when he talked about defamation, and once again, I've got the full clip in my life, he admits his pure motivation is money. It's just money. It's not actually he feels bad about it. He laughs about it. He thinks it's a joke. He actually isn't deeply hurt about this at all. At the end of the day, he's going to have a hard time collecting from anybody, myself included. And I can say he's not going to get a single won, baht, or US dollar off of me. It's going to be very difficult for that.
No way. No way bro thought that was a legitimate strategy. Hey, I need money, so I'm going to sue these people. Bro obviously has no idea about how the court system works at all. You ain't doing shit. Your legacy will be Johnny Somali's fat friend, I guess, or lover. I can't really tell at this point, but you're a side character, bro. Pipe down. Then Legal Mindset talks about just how bad his chances are.
So here's the thing. There's something called standing. That's the ability to bring a claim. He's going to have a real big issue in multiple jurisdictions with standing. It's very odd because he may not even have standing to bring a claim in the United States. The only place he clearly can sue is South Korea. But let's just use myself as an example. While I used to live in South Korea, I no longer reside in South Korea. Therefore, suing in South Korea would be entirely inappropriate because, well, they wouldn't even be able to serve me with process because I'm not in South Korea.
Dude, this guy has like no idea how hard international lawsuits even are. He definitely does not even have the funds to launch such a lawsuit. So it's so completely obviously a empty threat. It seems like he's just trying to intimidate people. And this is a common thing on the internet where basically people will, you know, say that I'm going to sue you or something like that in order to, you know, scare you, give you cold feet into talking about them in the future. But this guy is so unintimidating. Holy shit. I don't think he could scare a fucking cat. And if it wasn't obvious, no, we're not gonna stop talking about you. You can try to sue. It's not gonna work. You're gonna get cooked just like your pal Johnny. So I wouldn't recommend. You're also going to go broke, more broke than you already are, which is negative probably in debt or something. So yeah, probably pipe down there. Then Legal Mindset talks about the anti-slap laws.
The other thing is, most of the streamers, let's use Atozy in 15 minutes, for example, they're in the United States. And we have something called anti-slap. Now, Hank claims to know about free speech, but I'm going to educate him on free speech as it's applied in law. The anti-slap, or laws against strategic lawsuits against public participation, that is, lawsuits just to shut people up, even though they're actually speaking facts, those are so intimately tied to free speech. They were adopted on free speech basis. You can't use lawsuits to shut people up from talking to you, from talking about you, particularly from talking about you about truthful things. And not only that, but Hank is a public figure. He's now gone on multiple interviews. He's got YouTube channels. He's involved with Johnny Somali. He is a public figure, so he is held to a higher standard under New York Times versus Sullivan. Therefore, all these anti-slap protections would essentially prevent him from even going to court. It wouldn't even get to a motion to dismiss.
Oh, wow. So I thought he had about like a 0% chance. Turns out he has like a negative 5% chance. Jesus Christ, bro. Oh my God. Bro can't even cross the first barrier. How the hell are you gonna sue anyone, buddy? He really needs to watch himself because it's not like they're short on prisons there or anything. They definitely got room for you there as well. And you keep associating with Johnny Somali, trying to aid and abet him in his crimes as well. I feel like if you keep doing that, you're gonna go to prison too, buddy. Then he talks about the ultimate own. Apparently this guy's reputation is so bad, he cannot even be defamed.
You're going to need damages. What money did he lose? He wasn't making any money. His family, mom, whatever, was giving him money regardless. So he didn't have anything that was lost because of that. And further, you actually have to have a good reputation, or at least a neutral reputation, in order to be damaged. But at this point, it's very clear. And speaking to people in Korea, Korean lawyers, if you have a bad reputation, there's no reputation to be damaged. Even in Korea, that would be thrown out because of his own reputation. And at the end of the day, nobody, myself included, Atozy, anybody else, has been served with a lawsuit by Hank. So there's no lawsuit in existence.
Right, so you're telling me bro is so broke he had no income to even damage? Bro's reputation was so bad you couldn't even ruin it any further? Therefore, the lawsuit will not even work? This hypothetical lawsuit, which is never gonna happen, by the way. Brother, this is so embarrassing. It's crazy. It is just so over for them. Johnny and his whole squad, which is just him and this guy, basically. They're just cooked. They're just cooked, man. Johnny, I can't wait for the day this guy's in prison. Unfortunately, it's gonna take a while. He has another trial on October 29. So we will be covering that then. Now click this video or you become Johnny Somali's cellmate. Thank you for...
Oh, no. Where's the podcast that I wanted to listen to? Oh, there it is.
Is pure speculation. I have no inside information. I'm not in any way breaking news.
Actually, I wanna... no. Hot. First 3 ancient hot take. There we go.
Is if I can simultaneously strafe while using the mouse to aim at you, I can just be shooting you in the head the whole time while I'm actually moving on your screen, which makes it harder for you to track me. So at the same time, I'm putting all my shots into you, but essentially I'm like walking around you if you're not doing the same thing. So it's essentially the entire premise, if you play a modern FPS game, of all the like jiggling on the corners. That's all WASD, double AD movement, basically, like left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right movement. That's the cop. The problem is, though, that made FPS games better because of what it did to the movement and the dodging. And by the way, you want dodging in FPS games because the guy already has shit hot hand-eye coordination. He already was aiming everything with the mouse. The problem here is, like he says, first of all, Dota is already a different game because the turn speed is so slow. It's actually one of the things that makes Dota really fascinating as a game to me. It's why I actually always preferred it over League. Is that you simultaneously have all these mega OP elements, but then you have these like bottleneck things like the movement that like stop it becoming like too much slow. That's what actually like paces a team fight out. That's what things like when you use the BKB to also decides when it happens. Like, League to me is way more of a game. It's the reason why I think in League you've never gotten close to what they have in Dota. You know, there's a stat in Dota where there's been a load of internationals where like every single hero was picked in the whole thing. You know, in League that'll never happen. You'll never have a Worlds where, even with Fearless, you'll never have a Worlds where every champion is picked. That's cause League to me is way more of like a, I'll just say, like, I think like a fragile game. For me, is the second things become OP. I mean, the joke is, the real reason you had to force Fearless draft on everyone is because otherwise everyone just wouldn't stop picking the 3 OP champions in their role. They would just do that no matter what. Even, by the way, if it didn't fit their playing style, they'd still pick like a Scion or a fucking some garbage that they don't even like to play. They would still do it just because they want to win the game and it's OP. So the problem I have is I think this will become the most OP thing in League of Legends. And I'll briefly explain why. Because think about all the skills that you actually have to learn when you come into League. Like, remember, I came from like different, much more complicated esports, and what I had to realise was it means that even though the skill expression is more limited, it actually allows the game to be balanced out more in a way that like certain champions as a result can be like simple to use, but you make them really strong. Then you make the one that's like really skilled, so it's like more like you have to get more of the spell rotation off, like an Akali or something like that. So the real problem you're going to run into immediately is think about all the mechanics that we all think are OP. Like, I can, by the way, the first role I will immediately predict is broken tomorrow is AD carry. Because AD carry is all the orb walking, that's the click back and forth. Why am I clicking back if I have WASD movement? I'm not ever clicking back at that point, Keyray. I'm just clicking a click character onto you constantly while moving. Like, you've literally just made every person in the world now can do like peak ruler orb walking, which I used to think, by the way, is one of the most impressive things
That's
about
true.
ADC you'll ever see. Think about Ruler when he would play Ashe like 3 years ago. You could never get to him. Like, he was doing the perma-slow and you walk like this backwards, getting every auto off and cancelling it at the last second. It was unbelievable. Now, that's just pressing like backwards key and just clicking on their fucking character. Like, that's gonna suck. And then similarly, just like the orb walking angle, that mean also, by the way, generally champions that kite people, well, everyone will be able to kite now. It'll just be ridiculous. Like, everyone will have like 85% good kiting as far as I can tell.
The best character in the game is gonna be Syndra. Like, Syndra is the most OP passive in the whole game because she can actually like move while landing skill shots, and she has the most range. So she suddenly, with this motion, become the best character in the game.
And you've got people like Ezreal who are like massively thing. And here, let me just point something out to you. People take like Ruler being able to orb walk for like granted, as like all ADCs can do that. Right, go watch the World's Final Game 5, Elk, mid lane, and the final team fight of the game that changes the outcome of the World Champion. Look what he's auto-attacking. He's auto-attacking minions. Because he can't control his mechanics. So he's panicking, right, okay, and he's A-clicking rather than A-clicking area rather than A-clicking onto specific champions, and as Kaisa, he shoots 8 auto-attacks into minions rather than actual heroes in the deciding fight that decided the world champion. So do not take it for granted. It is not, it's like what Ruler does and what Uzi was able to do, and people like Doublelift had to train themselves to do, to get themselves out of bad habits, right? Do not take it for granted. It is very hard when you're under that pressure. Well, if you have the WASD movement, it's literally just like, it's like the old Cogmos script when the Cogmos could break the attack speed. It's just a twiddle of the fingers and the person just starts gliding back. So there's so many different issues there, and I don't think the domino effect is going to be crazy.
I'll give you an example. One of the most famous moments in Faker's career that made everyone think what a god was when he did that amazing sidestep on the Cassio ult against Nagni in that KT Rolster Summer Final 2015. Everyone would just skip the foot. No one will ever get hit by a Cassio ult in theory, like, because he can just move while still clicking stuff. Like, to me, certain champions now just don't work in the game. Also, like I say, by the way, how OP would you actually have to make like Garen's abilities for him to be able to be picked at this point in time? You know what I mean? Surely you just kite him forever. Like, you'd never get forced close to this guy. Yeah, there's so many characters I feel like are just done tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Especially anything melee.
I
Like,
don't like it.
good luck. Like, good luck with
I'll
it.
be surprised unless Riot put in like limitations, like actual engine limitations of the control, and on purpose make the control bad. Unless you're playing something like Callista that specifically requires, because it has a unique movement set, it actually requires like the mouse portion of it. I'm not sure how Riot will balance it, because there will just be certain champions where it'll be like, yeah, you to optimize for this champion, you learn WASD movement, and basically that from
This
moving on
actually
from this
literally
point.
reminds me of the main thing that I don't like about StarCraft 2, which is in StarCraft 2, they, by the way, intelligently realised you'll never get casuals to play this game if it's like hard fucking work and mental labour just to produce like units that farm. Like, if just making the workers and making them go to the worker patch where it requires micro and me constantly reminding my brain, a bit like checking the minimap as a jungler in League, like check the workers, now back to the check the workers, that's not fun for a normal person. But the problem is, if you've ever watched high level Brood War, it makes the game way better, unfortunately, because essentially you actually do want top players to sort of have some of their mental bandwidth used up by some of these things. So similarly, even though in the short term it's going to sound awesome for a casual fan, they're going to go brilliant, now I can kite and play Vayne, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But what they're not realising is it was actually a good thing that someone like Ruler had to do a million insane mouse clicks that were really like coordinate the timing. As I was saying, by the way, it's not like everyone had already matched that skill. It's like we're just giving it to everyone now. No, it was still, you could see the difference between a Ruler and a Jackie Love and a fucking, and like Super in the LEC. You could see a difference between these players, you know what I mean? So I actually do think, sadly, it's one of those ones where people in the short term will think it's good, but I actually think in the long term it's bad. I actually think one of the best things about League was, even though it's considered a less skilled game, they clearly had not ever hit the cap of like skill expression. You could still do a lot of amazing things. In fact, you could argue that's why the modern generation of League pros are so amazing, because they've actually put in like 10 plus years to this game. So the level of execution they're on is unbelievable. But I think this will make it worse. It's only a small point, but I think it's a good one, Kira. I agree. All right, Zabatine, do you have one? Do you have one on deck?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very hot take that I even didn't dare to say in France because French fans will absolutely kill me.
What's it about Carmi Corp then? Come on, hit me with it. What is it?
Of course, man. Like,
come on.
What do you expect? I said France,
yeah,
and I say I didn't dare. Okay, so recently, if you watch the games from Carmine Corp, there is a little question mark about Vladdy's early laning. I'm not even speaking about like his chat drama or things like that, but he doesn't seem to be on par with what he used to be at the beginning of the year. And Carmine Corp, while being one of the most dominant team in Europe, looks much more like the team it was last year in summer. So my take is, I do think at the current state, right? Not saying the whole year.
Come on, he's going to put his skin on something. Come on. Oh, he is!
Right?
He's going to put his skin! No, why? Come on, hit me with it. Hit me with it. Come on.
It's just
come on.
Because it's.
This is going hot take. Come on.
No, but I mean, we have to do it, right?
Sure,
like
sure.
the Frenchmen have to bring the
Sure.
friendship. I do think that in short term it will be a strong upgrade for Carmine Corp, because both side lanes are like smurfing so hard.
Okay.
Right now, if you look at side lanes from Carmine, Kana is really like, it's a dictatorship in the top side. 2v2 bot side wins most of the time, and Targamas starts to play ranged champions, meaning that they get even more prio. And it's such a shame to see Carmine kind of struggle with Yike, because mid is taking 15 CS at every match, and you feel like it's Camilo in the mid in an early game. So with Niski, who's very good at laning and especially moving, I think the gameplay of Carmine would be much more dynamic and more effective. On long run, I think it's better to get Vladdy, but I do think short term, if they want to be the best they should sub in Niski. Opinion, guys.
You French people do just hate yourself. Why would you do it to yourself, man? Like, why? First of all, why do you even think about it? And then second of all, like that idea, even like action in it is like a completely different thing. Like, it's madness. It's like, okay, the version of Niski that we've seen last wasn't even playing the role you want him to play. Then, when he was playing that role, he wasn't even good at laning. The actual person who gains the most from the idea of putting Niski in is that if you get the prototypal jungler's best friend Niski, and Yike, like, he helps out Yike. And they would just allow Yike to like open the map up even more for Kana and Collapse. You know what I mean? He just enters the server as another supportive element to the team, and they run it like that. That's the upside. Like, that's like the good version. The downside version is you then just have a worse carry player than Vladdy who loses all the same lanes that Vladdy's losing, and then he doesn't have any champion pool utility, because the last version of this we've seen, he was attempting to play ADC's mid, Tali, and Azir, and then that's not going to last that long. That's just not going to last that long. I will say, I think there's lots that Niski could teach Vladdy. I would just prefer, like, you know, I just prefer Niski not on my team teaching, like, you know what I mean, not in the server having to teach Vladdy, you know what I mean, just keep him as he is for now. Niski's in the perfect role for the moment in his career.
The problem I have with this take is this. It actually is very much you with your coaching hat on here, Zabatine, because this is more of sort of a coach's change, where if you notice, the premise isn't like Niski is better than Vladdy. That's not even a point you attempted to really even make. It's more like, here's what he would potentially do for the rest of the team, and so if the overall net is a plus, then it's worth it, even if, you know, you might look silly doing this on paper. I would say that's like a classic coach's way of thinking about the game. I don't think it's totally wrong. Like, if I only think of like what Niski could do for other people on the team, then immediately I actually think he could make them more powerful, like you say, and especially in a way Vladdy does not right now. Like, the most obvious thing he would do is, guess what? Yes, if you look, top and ADC are contender for best in their role in this team. Mate, he would just be diving their lane all day long. Like, it'd be him and fucking Yike, and you could just roll the game for these guys and accelerate the match, which, by the way, I don't hate that idea. This is a team that already still relies on, like, hey, we win late game team fights. Like, why get into that scenario? Why not just be ahead early in the game? Then you would just destroy a mid game. There wouldn't even be a late game.
Oh my god, what am I doing?
That angle. The problem obviously is, as Kira's sort of hinting at, we are doing the Hylissang thing again here, which, by the way, is very much coach thinking again. Coach thinking goes when you take someone out of an environment where they underperformed, a different environment also can sort of resurrect who they were or change their profile or who they are. So the real problem here is, this is just another Hylissang Niski sort of like, yeah, but if I put him in a different team, maybe I get some of that old magic back. The real problem, I know what Kira means. The real problem is, I'm just remembering the last time I saw Niski play both support and mid lane, and it wasn't good, unfortunately. And even worse, I actually do think the last few years, and that's why it's one of the people that's actually, I don't have him on my shows, you know, it's not somebody who wants to be in my media, fair enough, but I actually don't know what he thinks about the game. I've always wondered, actually. I actually do feel like that lineup when they had El Yoya and him, and they clearly had friction, I feel like that sort of like burned him out for League or took his joy for the game or something, because he's never been as good since then for me, whereas I actually thought at the time he was still a very good player. Like, he would have splits domestically where he was like one of the best players. He was even at one point in time for real an MVP candidate. The only problem is I don't know if we'd really get him now. And then the bigger issue was this. The reason why I like the hot take is because you even put the disclaimer on there that it is just a short-term move. As in, essentially, if the finals of the LEC were next weekend, then yeah, this move actually might even give you a better chance to win it. The problem is, the reason you also wouldn't do it and why it's a hot take, Zabatine, is because of the effect it would potentially have on Vladdy. Like, I'll tell you right now, if I had to speculate, again, this is pure speculation, I don't know this person at all, the key detail is actually the nationality and the culture, which is you have a team of French-speaking people and players, and Yike, who by the way is super passive, chill guy, you know, doesn't seem to bring any drama, and then you have put in a Greek mid laner. Now look, don't think every Greek person's like forgiven, but I'll tell you what, they've all got a little seed of it in there, boys. I can tell you even Comp is a bit spicy. Every Greek person I've known has that little bit of spice in them, and that will manifest a bit like it does with the Balkan players, as you're going to be a bit more disagreeable maybe, or you're a bit more sort of like, I do shit my way, because the problem I have with this topic is this. I also don't hate it in the sense that, like, it is the best thing about sports, that even if you are a really good player like he is, there's always someone in sports on the bench who can replace you if you don't play the way you need to for the team. But we don't really have that in League. And the reason why, in a way, I don't hate the move, but I wouldn't want it to be really like a long-term move, is because you are also, with this guy, to me, he's a rookie still, mate. I don't care that he played his split last year. You're still trying to actually develop this guy, which means things like his attitude and how he plays with the team and what style of play. Because I actually think he's one of the rare players in the modern day, by the way, I've actually watched play solo queue. Like, I've had a few times I was streaming and I wanted to raid someone, and I saw him and I thought, this is a neutral play, he's never flamed me, so I raided him and I watched him for a while. And mate, he is a very talented player, I have to say, in solo queue. And actually in solo queue, he also plays fuck tons of champions, mate. He just plays whatever he wants. So I also get the sense it's probably some sort of an attitude, like, mismatch with him and the rest of the team now. Like, I get the feeling he's not like your system mid laner, you know, who just does what you want. I imagine he wants to play the champions he wants to play and play the game the way he wants. And the issue right now is this, sorry mate, of the three carry roles right now, Canna and Callista better than you, so we can't play the game around you all the time. And you're just not that good in LEC, so I get why you set it up that way. I still wouldn't do it though. Listen, the Niski parts, it's a bridge too far. Yeah, it is. It's a hot take.
It's a hot take. That said, I think you guys on the Niskit situation, I think he still was first of the summer split last year in regular season. He didn't play well in BOs, but I do think that
I should have brought a energy
style of
potion or
laning where
something.
he trades his HP to
It's
be
so
more
annoying.
available
Holy.
and play just with tempo and doesn't really try to deny. It's really bad internationally because like top mid laners do that at the same time as like
I need
playing the
20
but I do
energy
think
minimum.
domestically it's a very powerful playstyle.
Alright, let's wait.
I'm okay with the fact that we don't make the move, but that was my hot take.
Okay. Right, I actually want to do a fan hot take now, because this one is actually a rare time where the fan didn't just like say a stupid take and then a bunch of stupid reasons. This is actually like, they've sort of done like a full lawyer angle here, and they've gone really deep on it. So, Nadnerb, by the way, if you would like to submit your fan hot take, then what you have to do is subscribe to the Last Free Nation Discord. There's a channel, LOL Hot Takes or whatever. Look, we don't promise we will read them out and or answer them, but we take a couple each time. Nadnerb says, listen to this, Beryl is not only not the GOAT support, he isn't a top 10 support of all time. He's only ever had one good split of individual play in summer 2020. Other than that, he's been mediocre at best, including being the reason 2021 Damwon did not win MSI. His bot lane is weak side on every team because of his play. He's never been a top 3 individual player on any of his teams for a whole tournament, which includes mediocre teams like 2023 DRX, where he was arguably the worst player in LCK. Also, he's known as a macro genius, but none of his teams have consistent macro and are not known for their macro, unlike a support like Mako, where all of his teams play similarly. Instead, all of his tournament wins come off individual play of solo laners. And so, either, by the way, in case we then say, like, well, who are your top 10 spots? He does give, like, a massive list. And by the way, aside from the odd one, like, he gives a list of, like, Carrier, Mako, Ming, Mata, Madlife, Gorilla, Crisp, Delight, Mickey X, Hillisang, and then he even says you can put other people like Lehens and stuff like that in there. So, essentially, the hot take is, forget the idea, like, obviously it's a pleb take to say Beryl's the GOAT support or whatever, but his take is that he's essentially like mega overrated. It's just accomplishment. He's not even top 10 support of all time. Thoughts, gentlemen?
That man lived by his nationality. That is Beryl.
I think, you know, there's a lot of people that just watch games. They never really watch a whole game without the camera like panning left and right, because that's what the broadcast does, unfortunately. So they don't understand really the mind process of a lot of things that are happening within the game, and just people don't watch professional games, but just looking at the minimap for 25 minutes the way some coaches or analysts do. I think Beryl is this caliber of player that has like he has a lot of bursts of very like genius ideas about the game, like spontaneous like holes of tempo and vision in the opponent's, you know, gameplay, or just like staying in the bush for long or trying to fake recall. There's a lot of like, I would say drunk, how do you say, like drunk man kung fu? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know,
drunken
you know,
master kung fu, whatever. Yeah.
Right, like there's a little bit of that in his gameplay, and so if you try to like take the standards grid of rating for players, he's not consistent first, right? He's not consistent. The way he plays cannot be consistent. So the angle by which people argue that he belongs to the top 10 supports ever is he's what he brings to the table while having his low lows is much better than a lot of top support counterparts like On that don't have this genius to win games, to find these holes into the enemy defense, even against the best teams. And I do believe that having a creative player cannot be consistent, and he's like kind of the epitome of the creative support. You have Keria that has like insane mechanics, could be mid laner, so everybody's gonna compare him to Keria and be like, yeah, but Keria does that. Yeah, but after Keria, nobody else does that. And if you look at all these creative supports, I do think that Beryl had the pick. If you look at Lehens, you look at On, you look at, I mean, Sword Art at some part of his career. I do
now we can do rat catchers.
And for this reason, I think he should be rated in the top 10. But every time you'll pick a support that has this kind of like genius profile, like Hillisong whatsoever, you have the lowest lows, and I think the highs of Beryl offset the lows, whereas some for other supports, I don't know, like for instance Lehens in my book, I don't think it does.
Okay.
Right, okay. Right. I don't. Okay, Beryl is basically just a guy who won things because of his nationality and is like exposition to like who he played with. Like, okay, take Mata. Mata had a period of time where he played with like the best players ever, like Dandy, Daddy, won a world championship with them, right? He then also went and fucking won the LPL with one of the worst ADCs ever, a rookie Zhao Hu, who else? Who's his jungler as well? A rookie LW, like MLXG, like it was one of that RNG team. By the way, it didn't have Uzi on it at this time, and he beat EDG, right? And he literally took macro and like Korean gameplay, and he like brought it to like the LPL. Like those are not the same. Like those are not the same levels of achievements. Like, and the problem is any of the folk that you take there, you can't really compare them. Beryl like wouldn't have won anything of any note of at all. Apart from, like, take the DRX team, for example. He's fucking playing with Deft, man. Like, everyone bangs on in that team about, like, King and Zika on that team. The best player, relative to everyone
It's
else,
like a
is,
COVID scare. Jesus.
the best player is Deft. I'm sorry. It just is. Like, are we all just going to pretend the guy that's got the Infinity Gauntlet of achievements was just lucky across 5 different teams? Is that what we're going to do with Deft here?
Nemesis.
Beryl was just a guy that was lucky to have just played with, like, a ridiculous plethora of talent. He's like a fine support player. My issue is, okay, no one, I have never heard anyone from LPL or LCK go like, oh, Beryl's actually really, like, actual, like, players and stuff. Beryl's, like, sleeper, OP, like, one of the best players. Players from the LPL and teams from the LPL genuinely thought Lehens was the best player on Griffin. Not Chove, not Tarzan, not Viper. The LPL genuinely thought, for funny reasons, you can see why that being the case, but they genuinely thought Lehens was actually like the player on Griffin that made them beat, like, them win the script. And so, like, and you know, I'm not saying that as like a point of like providence, but nobody ever looks at like a team with Showmaker, Naguri, and Canyon and goes, yeah, Beryl, the guy that like sets up for the Ziggs and Zoe Qs, he's like the superstar. He's the cool thing about Beryl is he plays into like his character, and he's like he'll kind of like lives up to like the meme of his. So he's like a very like marketable like player in terms of like his like storyline, but like that's just kind of like what it is. Like his play independent of who he plays with, I don't think would have ended up anywhere. I think he's like one of the most like blessed players ever. I don't hate him. I think he was given a bunch of like opportunities and he made the most of them. That's the sick part. But not in terms of like actual quality of play.
I think I'm more in the Zabatine camp on this one. Like, I acknowledge the overall premise. Like, I agree with the overall premise. He's not even close to the GOAT support player. Like, to me, he gets this one consideration, which is, I think, in all GOAT discussions, you have to put all the people who fit the initial criteria, and then you remove people until you have one person left. So he would actually get to initially be in the conversation just from having the Worlds and Championships, right? That alone is actually, it's a bit like Bengi. The resume gets you in the conversation. It's just, for me, you're the first person eliminated because of things like how good, like, were you actually better than for just 1 year? How many times were you actually an elite player? How many times, like he says, were you impactful on the team components? Here's the thing, I don't hate completely. Like, I do think one thing people are doing here, it's the same with Bengi actually, is I agree with you, Zabatine. If you go to a very specific time, maybe it's only a year, maybe it's 1 or 2 splits, they do have periods in their career where they were actually elite at their position. Like, the real problem of all time with Bengi is, I'm almost certain that guy had like a secret RSI issue or something, because bro, that like first year or so, he was really good. Like, there was even like, he would even show, funnily enough, like when they would sub him back in, glimpses of being good for a game or so. His real problem was he couldn't maintain it, and then seemingly over the years, from seeing Faker win without him, and then seeing Faker's career without him now, it just more looks like he also was sort of like piloted by Faker to some degree, and he was just synergizing with Faker. I mean, if anything, like the discussions we've had in the past, Zabatine, if anything, hasn't Order just proven that, like, actually, if you're even more mechanically skilled player, you should do everything Faker does and follow him around the map. Yeah, you have amazing fucking results. You can win a lot of world championships doing that. It turns out more people can win world championships doing that with Faker. So I think it's similar with Beryl. I do think he had some periods, if you go really early on in the Damwon period, where he was very good. And by the way, that's why we all used to flame the AD carry, not Beryl, actually. He was more like later years ago flamed him. But the problem you also have with him is, again, it's like other people that won the world championship then fallen off. Like, he did fall off really hard though, I think, after that. And he has has had years since where he is just dining out on his resume and his name being Beryl. And the fact that also, another detail about him is, he has some sort of weird, like, swaggy persona for some bizarre reason as well, where he's sort of almost entered that meme territory where people like the fact that he's sort of this bizarre character. Because I also agree, this is where I differ from Kiva a little bit. I also do agree with you, Zabatine. I actually think Hillesang's a good shout, because to me, what he actually has in his game was, here's the problem. You know when the fan guy said, everyone says he's like a macro genius or whatever, but his teams don't have great macro. That is absolutely true, by the way. If you go look at almost any of his teams, it was all just fucking ABC paint by numbers macro. And in fact, sometimes they just weren't even good at it. But that's because when he says it, I don't think he was ever a macro genius, but I do understand why you could call him a genius though, because I do think he makes, but it's why I actually think last year's KT was a perfect team for him, because that team could never just play straight up league and beat you. But if you allow them to do stupid-ass Pioshik Beryl bullshit then you actually will win some games. Like, I'll even invoke Monty's most hated attempted style configuration from 2015. Remember Unicorns of Love, where they were like, we're playing Chaos style. And it's like, you're not really, you're just making, like, bad, high-risk, like, medium reward plays. But it turns out, actually, if everyone else plays, like, proper League of Legends, that does get you upset wins, actually. That will just, like, win you. Because remember, Unicorns of Love really were doing stupid shit like, let's play fucking TF and flash gold card at like the first level that you can do that on. Like, that's a game losing play if you miss the gold card. But if you win it like solo queue, yeah, you can have a fucking hilarious time after that, aren't you? So, but I think Beryl was more in that camp. I know what you mean, Sabatine. He actually is more of an artist than like a scientist and a professional player, because he was always trying some like outrageously ambitious mental play. And the point is, look, that won't actually win you very many games of League of Legends. But I'll tell you what, it will win you some games though that no one else can win. That's why I actually like the Hillesang comparison. I get what you mean. But with all that said, the real problem I have is if you're doing the top 10 of all time, I did my own little list while you guys were running it through. He also might break it about as well, because the problem is, even when this guy did his list, once you get to the bottom of that list, you're also getting people where they either just had like their own great teams, or they were just like pretty good for a year or two. Once you get to like numbers 8, 9, and 10, you don't really have people there who are like the best player like Mako for like 9 years or something. Like, you've already thinned the herd. So he probably just went too far saying not top 10. Not top 5's a better angle, because I think everyone can agree with that. But I'm with you, Zabatin. If I had to really do top 10, I'd probably still, just for if I remember the good years, I'd probably still sneak him in at like 8 or 9 or something. You could probably get in there, you know. Especially because you notice this guy did himself sneak both Mickey X and Hillesang on the list. It's like, listen, bro, I might give you Mickey X. I don't know. Hillesang, is he really in his whole career better than? I don't know about that. That would be an interesting debate, actually, I have to say.
By the way, I'll give you an interesting angle. I remember there was a year, it was 2019, okay? And Hillesang was the Western player who was in most people's top 3/top 5 going into Worlds that year.
Okay.
Beryl, relative to support, and every other player has never been anywhere near that. Like, I don't think Beryl would ever have been maybe in the top 10 players like in the world.
Sure.
But like for that 1 year, Hillesang was in, by the way, like legit people like Kelsey Moser, like literally had Hillesang as the second best player in the world in 2019 or something, I'm pretty sure. Like, you know what I mean? Like when everyone does like those lists at that content period,
sure,
there was a lot of people had Hillesang at 2019 and by the way,
I believe if you remember, I think summer split 2019 was where a lot of people wanted him to be the MVP, if you remember.
Yeah, it was balling, yeah.
I'd say, just to add something, I think there is 4 quadrants, right? There are the people that are good and look good. There are the people that are good and look bad. There are the people that are bad and look good. And there are the people that are bad and look bad, right? I do think Beryl is part of the players that actually are good but look bad. And I'm okay with people not realizing that like some of the things he does are like good. I lean on your end as well, Kier, that like he was with very good players. But I think that you need to be a very good player to play with very good players and still win. Like I've seen plenty of very good players that were playing with Inters and didn't make it. And on longevity, I mean, Amp is part of like this guy that fell off in China. Marine fell off in China. There's a lot of players that fell off in China. So, but I do think he's part of and Hillesang is the same thing. It's like he's good, looks bad. Most of his career, like late part of his career was like he's bad, look bad. But most of his career was he's good, looks bad. And I do think some players will have this reputation, but they are still good at the game in a very different like framework.
By the way, the other reason as well, I also don't discount even some of the like weirder years of his career, is the term that you would use in English is he also does have an aspect to his game that is talismanic. Like, notice how, as much as I agree, they never have great macro. It's also the reason I always made the point back in the day, it never seemed to dawn on anyone. If everyone used to tell me Bjergsen was the captain of TSM, and I used to say, then can you please explain why when they go international, they have no macro? They just play normal, like, go to the Baron League. That should be a minus against him if he's the one making the calls. Well, on the other end, I have to say, like, every single Beryl team becomes a Beryl team. It becomes this weird idiosyncratic squad where they do have this crazy upset potential that otherwise they wouldn't have. And so, here's the thing, that can't be totally imaginary, you know what I mean? Like, there must be something there, it's just it's manifested in a way where it's sort of a bit hidden. But put it this way, the ripples felt by Beryl being in a game are present. And also, by the way, as an aside, this doesn't count for being top 10, but that whole thing of, like, that he became a meme in a fucked up way adds to his aura, as the kids would say, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know.
100%, yeah.
I mean, the joke is, he one thing I actually appreciate about him, unlike some of the people I think are overrated, like the Bengies and the Wolves of the world, they don't ever seem like they ever embraced the meme angle. Bro, I could actually see Beryl for real doing like his own like meme version of that thing where being at World's Finals like threw that jacket off, like, I'm here, motherfuckers, like, get out my way, like, that's how he plays. He plays like he actually thinks he is the best support player of all time. So in that way, I actually sort of fuck with that. I like it. But then I like the take though. As I said, it's a pretty good fan take actually. He tried to like give his whole case there, and he even sort of preempted the obvious question. He must have seen the CS one because it's a lot to chew on there. This one is by Trocchio07, and they say, I believe that in the current state of the league, teams like GX and Fnatic could use Jankos to be much better than they are. It's okay, buckle up for this one. So, by the way, the joke is if Jankos himself was like listening with this on the background, he'd be like, what? Nani? Like, but anyway, let's listen. He goes, for GX, they seem to be lacking that voice of a reason with all their young carries. Look how he elevated Vetio, or Vetio, as somebody would say. Jackie's is to me like Vetio 2.0. For Fnatic, they have firepower, but they lack someone who watches the lanes, covers for them, and plays good team fights on all no carry picks. And someone who will actually back down instead of brain deadly engaging in entire game states like Razork does. It's all his words, not mine, Razork. I didn't say that, mate, even it's true. Plus, no one manages big voices and personalities in the team like Jankos. He knows where to be and who to listen to. Even Humanoid would have been much better with him. That's a fucking hot take right there, but okay. But I like the way that's what we're doing to Jankos. Like, you just have to deal. You're the one who has to fix Humanoid. There you go, Jankos. Like, fucking hell. Anyway, the last thing he says is, of course, assuming he can get into decent form in LEC and underscore. So, okay, he has added a context there. He doesn't really mean the Jankos that I watched playing like Nord in the NLC and be like, Jesus, I'm just going to pretend this game didn't happen. He means if he could actually, get his form back up a bit and scrim a bit. But essentially, he thinks GX or Fnatic, this is the guy who could fix them. Thoughts, boys? It's certainly a take. It's certainly a take.
I think GX. I'm going to say it, okay. Fuck it, no, but I think GX could. Like, if I'm GX and I'm going to have this random fucking assortment of human beings, I would flip on Jankos. Because I'm not really losing much if it doesn't work out with Isma on my team. Fnatic's a different story. Like, the problem is the player that he's wanting Jankos to be, Razork has been that player on Fnatic, just not this specific Fnatic. Like the lane coverage. The problem is he has a deficiency, right? But he has like an Achilles heel deficiency, whereas like Jankos has way more things to like make up for in terms of like the Razork already has. Like shampoo, team fighting, just like basic mechanics, like just how sharp you are. Like Thorn will tell you if you don't play like tier 1, it's like the ring rust like type thing. You don't there's like a tempo and a pacing to like high level. It's like stage games. Scrims can never make up for stage games because there is like a beat and a tempo to like live playing, like an energy and rhythm to it. And they're the types of things that like.
Oh my god, that's a lot of damage.
GX, I'd flip it every time. At Fnatic, I would just see this project. I don't want Fnatic to change anything else about this project. Please let this team just see it out like at least one split.
Where are you commenting on the team?
Yeah, I mean, if you do watch the LEC games in detail, you're gonna see that what's currently happening is kind of the opposite. I think that the European teams have figured out most of the timings in the game where there is danger, and everybody's mostly respectful. I'm not saying everyone, but at the highest level, the teams are the players are being respectful of these timings. And so what makes the difference between teams right now is execution. It's the ability to actually stand in river and be able to play your draft according to the strength of your champion, and not humble these plays or having someone randomly picked because like he cannot space. Literally, like Noah lost 2 games for GX and has nothing to do with the early game. It's literally just Noah walking on mid wave and dying randomly to an Alistar without even like having to use flash to kill him. So that's much more like raw skill power, ability to anticipate skill shots, bait skill shots, posture aggressively without overextending, which is the very specific thing Jankos would not be able to do these days. Because the very reason Jankos started to be a little bit heavy for G2 and so on in his career is because while being good at finding options, because this never changes, just decision making, his ability to make a difference by executing the play that he has in his head was severely dropping. And I think that in a state where the LEC is literally just made by hands, like you look at Fnatic, they don't have good macro, they just play better. Same thing for KC that beat Koi and GX just because they have better teamfight players. I think putting Jankos and thinking he will solve anything is actually a little bit delusional, because this is not where the game is made nowadays. The only player that still finds options like Jankos used to do and put his team ahead while losing team fights is Sheo.
Oh,
and I don't
knew you
think
were
that
going to say Sheo.
right, because it's very close, it's very alike in the term of in playstyle, and you see Sheo still mis-executing team fight and losing games because he's not able to have the hands to actually like take his team to the nexus while being like far ahead on bruisers. That clearly like double downs on the fact that Jankos wouldn't make it in this environment.
The problem I have is this. I actually think, because notice he talks about the years when Jankos was with the Herex that had eventually Vetio, but before that it was like the bad one with Ebby and Ruby, and he was like, and if you remember, that was the last peak of like, he was still a really good player. Unfortunately, I think that year and the year following it is why, even though he wants to do this move, it could never actually happen in reality. Like, I think that Jankos is already at the point in his career now where he has played so long. People forget this, bro. He was playing in Season 4. Like, he has played so long in the LEC now that I think someone like him will only come back if the team he is in can win the LEC and go international. By the way, I don't even think just go international alone is enough. Like, it's not like he wants to just get that 3rd seed, go to Worlds, get his head smashed in, and then go, right, that was another year of my adult life. I think someone like him would only do it if he could be on like Carmine Corp and actually believe like, hey, maybe we could make like the semis if I fucking play my role right. Because he's just been and done everything. And this is why actually, by the way, if in sports you ever do find someone who is like a Kobe Bryant, Michael Schumacher type figure, if Djokovic, if someone really does have insane longevity where they're like super elite, they are, as the kids say, built different. There is just something about them that is utterly unique, because everyone I've met who's got anything about them that makes them a vaguely normal person, they hunger does get sated. And the difference is the novelty of when you're on the way up in your career of being in like the 5th best team, that novelty does not exist when you're 10 years deep. At that point in time, it just fucking sucks. And spoiler, I think the only reason professional sportsmen play so long is because they get enormous salaries and they don't know what the fuck they're going to do with their life afterwards, and they all have families, etc. I don't think they do it for the love of the game anymore. So in terms of the actual examples he gave though, my problem with these examples is similar, which is the GX one. I just don't know why Jankos is joining that team, mate. Look, for GX it might be better, but I don't know why because again, even if Jankos joins this thing and gets back into like, let's just say, let's not be silly and say 2019, let's just say good form. Let's say the form he would have been in the Herex in 2023 or the end of G2, right? Even then, GX is probably still like fucking 4th or 5th in the league. They're not actually going to like win LEC. And as I say, they just go to Worlds get banged out. The Fnatic one, the problem with that one is, look, that the other side of that one is like the joke would be Fnatic wouldn't want him now, mate. Like they want elite players today. But I also think that the area he's missed is this. One thing I've had to learn about League as well is you have to listen to what people say are the qualities of a player and don't add in one that they don't say. So if you listen, he nailed it there. If you ask someone what's Jankos amazing at his peak, his teammates would tell you really good communicator, he covers you, he sort of predicts what you're going to want him to do in the game, he's like fills in all the gaps. Notice they didn't at any point in time say he's the main like voice of the team who shot calls everything. They never say that part. So to me, I actually think the flaw of adding him to Fnatic is I don't think it actually fixes Fnatic's problem. And I think Fnatic's problem, by the way, is they don't have a shot caller. They just have a bunch of people who can contribute something occasionally, can make individual plays, and then you hope the coaching staff does the rest. I actually think what that team needs is someone who's like some El Yoya type guy who's like, listen, everyone, do X, Y, and Z now. And I don't think that's Yankos. So I'm not actually a bigger fan of this take. I think this one is one of those ones where you put on the rose-tinted glasses of the old Yankos, and you just imagine, it would be like me saying Perks could come back to season fucking 9 form and then play it tomorrow. It's like, probably not. And would any of those teams want him to? What are you going to say, Zabatine? Come on.
I just wanted to say that Poby seems to be that guy. If you hear the comms and you ask people, he seems to have a lot of like macro calls about lane assignment that actually helps the team. Like, oh guys, like the team fight is one. It's like, guys, okay, I'm going top after, and I think duo lane should be mid. Like, basic, you know, that helps. I think this will help Fnatic a lot. And Razork in interview this week said something interesting. He said, I feel like I can play my game again without feeling pressure, which I think like Poby is probably like very like just do your thing and do my thing.
You know what? There's the hot take. Poby better shot killer than Humanoid. There you go. There's the hot take at the end.
Do you think it's a?
It sounds true. It sounds true though.
It is. He's a better shot caller. I do think Humanoid. He's very smart about the game, but he used it in a very negative way.
Yes, he did. He could. As far as I can tell, I've talked to a lot of his coaches and teammates. They all say the same things, Aberdeen. He is really smart and he knows all the macro moves, but they also will all agree. He seems like he's terrible at translating it to his teammates, though, so it's not really very useful, is it? It's like you'd have to like have neural link to his brain to know what the fuck he's thinking or something.
Yeah, he's using his knowledge.
Davidine, how do you always do this? You come with a nuclear hot take and you don't even mean it.
It's all
like,
good.
bro, I couldn't believe you just said that. Poby is a better shot.
By the way,
caller.
editor, that's the title. Poby is a better shot caller than Humanoid. There you go.
I mean, it is true. It is true. Because I do believe that Humanoid is using his knowledge to actually affect the review space pretty negatively because he's always able to pinpoint what went wrong. He knows the roles, and he doesn't use it on stage to actually make proactive play that will suit him. And he's kind of just playing his game and relying on like his teammates making the right decision, because it costs a huge amount of energy to go the extra mile of being the main shot caller. And I do not believe Humanoid is the type of guy with his relationship to being a pro that wants to do this extra mile. On the other hand, Poby with very basic macro concepts is able just to bring Fnatic to this cookie cutter macro, which is like all 3 lanes are pushed where they should be pushed. And so if someone makes a mistake, which they often do, at least the game's not over and no objective is given to the opponent, which makes them much more robust.
Yeah, but come with me as we step up to the mountaintop and dream of what might be possible for the future. Do you know what my actual dream is? It's toxic as fuck, but this is my dream. My dream is the real reason all this drama's going on now, Yamato, is because he knows behind the scenes next year, that Fnatic mid lane spot's right there, baby. You want to come and play with Upset and Razok? That's right there, mate. KC, that's a French hobby. You want to be a legend of European esports? It's open. Humanoid Spunk's open. Do you want to come over, mate? That's the team to join. Go for it.
That's pretty funny.
I know what you mean. Like, what is it? You know, Kometo, by the way, is going to have to work overtime on this one. Because, like I say, except if you win the split, mate, I don't think fans are going to warm up to a player who's not French and has basically told them, like you said, the big fuck up was saying the word majority. Like, here's one thing as a very quick aside. I don't actually pretend like the majority of Karmine Corp fans are toxic. My problem is, though, I don't see messages from the nice ones. So my personal experience is only them saying shitty comments I don't like. In the same way as I'll make a point that they should hopefully be able to understand. If they don't follow my content, and the only time they see my content is when another Karmine Corp fan links me saying some shit about Karmine Corp, it will make it seem like everything I say is negative about Karmine Corp. Yeah, I understand that. But the problem is, so when I say Karmine Corp fans, yeah, I mean the ones I interact with. But if you ever asked me explicitly what percentage do you think it is, it's probably like 10% tops, isn't it? It's not really like... His problem was he took what he took as his experience and he made the mistake, because surely he knows this isn't right. It isn't really the majority that are doing those messages to you, Vladdy, and pissing you off, mate. But if you say the majority, that means almost any other Carmine Corp fan who isn't doing that's going to be like, is he meaning me as well? What the fuck? Like, and I think if you do that, mate, it's going to be really hard to win them back over. Like, they're just going to hate you. And Niski's a really popular player. Maybe now they'll want him instead. Niski's not going to say some shit like that,
Oh, definitely. It's a tricky position. It's like there is a political game, It's like that's why, it's very common for sports stars to say nothing.
Absolutely.
They just do their interviews. It's like, oh, the enemy team played a good game. We could have played better, and that's all they say. You don't get. It's like they are PR trained. They're there to play ball. But here, Vlad is like streaming and doing all that jazz, and everything is a little bit, up close and personal. And I wonder how things are going to continue, because looking now on the gameplay side, it's like KC, all of their problems seem to be carrying over. It's like all the same problems. It's like I went through those games with just very, very carefully. And KC have this problem is that they are not connecting in the game. They're not playing on side lane together. Vlad is playing very isolated. Yike is playing very isolated. They're winning because like Kana and like the players are just doing individual good stuff. It's like even that series against Koi. Macro-wise, Koi was decimating them. At game 2, they were getting dragged around, they were getting outplayed left and right, they were just getting annihilated strictly macro-wise. And Koi, it's very clear that they have taken some good learnings from the internationals. Koi lost game 3 because of a smite steal and like a ridiculous Targamas engages of like angles. It's like, oh, if KC can find themselves in fight, they can win. But if anyone like decides to pull them apart, then they just look exactly the same as they did, of course, the previous split. How do they resolve that? I do think, like my framing of the LEC was that I think that G2 and Koi just had way better of an experience in the so-called off season, that they can, like in the off season of LEC, meaning they were at internationals practicing. What the hell could KC do to improve regionally during that time? I don't know what the hell that could be. And it just seems like KC is starting off exactly where they left off. They got wins. So they're probably going to make Worlds because they got to top their group and they just need to win one best of 5. That's blessed and all, but in terms of winning the split, it's going to be super, super tricky.
No, the sad thing is as well, this even reminds me a little bit of the regular last split, which was you would win the games, they only lost to Fnatic basically, but every time you won, it's like you're just giving so many chances to the other team. And every vaguely good team, even the GX of the world, has a chance against you. Like, that's actually a little bit alarming, because I know what you mean, Yamato. To me, the problem KC's had the whole time since that first split when they were really good and they went to first stand, is they've just, like, relied on the fact that, like, we're just better players, which is a classic trap to fall into. Like, you can't rely, by the way, on the idea Canna's going to be ahead every game, or that every time you have a team fight, you'll just outhand the other team. Like, one, that didn't work internationally, and two, it barely works in the LEC. Like, as you say, Koi absolutely could have won that series, mate. Like, that was right there on the table, and if you had that, it'd be egg on your face, as we're saying. You look stupid if they win that one.
And Koi on the other side, it's just like mechanically they are not executing.
Yeah,
it's
they
like,
have their problems.
They have the setups, they have the situations, they have the gold, they have the items, and then it's like just Oriana ults flying. I don't know what the hell. Like Elioa is doing some of these fights, missing smites, just mechanically misplaying. I don't know how you work your way out of that. It's like usually you streamline what you play and you stick to a few champions, but macro-wise, there was a lot of good things about how Koi played. So there were a lot of nice, redeemable qualities about how they played. But it's kind of like if you could find a world where you merge Koi and KC, you would have an insane super team. Sure. That's where we're at, because Koi has the macro in the early game, and then KC has the team fighting and the laning. Because if my top lane is picking Aurora into Rumble and is losing the lane 1v1 to the point where Aurora gets dove, that's just not a playable game state. Like, that's not realistic at all to be in. Why on earth are we picking Aurora then? The enemy top lane is just better than you. And if that's the opening, the opening hand in this battle, that the enemy top lane is just that much better than you, you're going to have problems in the deeper runs of course the tournament. Because that's what's fun about the LEC, is that we have 4-2 teams. They're all flawed in their own way, which brings us to Fnatic, because what are the Fnatic flaws, Thorin? they are looking pretty good.
I've got to say, so far, even though no one really expected it, like even my take was just more like, it was almost half cope, which is that like, if Poppy just isn't humanoid, maybe that helps. Maybe not having humanoid, having like that weird attitude, or you know, it's like knowing what to do but not telling you, and all the sorts of weird idiosyncratic things about that guy. Maybe that helps. But the joke is, as far as I can tell you, Marto, this is better than anyone could have hoped for. Like right now, Fnatic coaching staff looking like geniuses. Because do you know what the craziest thing of all is? Kira was telling me this. Supposedly, if you listen to the comms, he's also the one comming all the time, bro. He isn't doing what I thought, which is just shut the fuck up, just be like a quiet Korean kid, keep your head down and just CS in lane. Bro, he's like shot calling the game, and actually he's looking really good so far. Like, I know what you mean, this actually low key. It's why you're seeing also some quite extreme statements in the interviews. Like, bro, that Razork interview was mad. He's only just humanoids. Like, the joke is like, if you go to Poppy's chair, it's still slightly warm from humanoid being there 5 minutes ago, but Razork makes it sound like he's dead already. Like, and the divorce went through. He's like, yeah, oh, now I can finally sort of like play the game I want. I'm like, what are all these comments? Like, so apparently everyone's drunk the Kool-Aid. They're all true believers. It's working though. Boy, here's the thing. Part of me's scared. This is like, it works with
the usual,
and then goes to nothing. But I'll tell you what, out the gate, it looks fantastic so far. Don't they just look like, for real, they could just be like top 2 team in the LEC, mates.
Like the opening series against Team Heretics, they looked like very nervous. It's like Razork blamed like the mouse, you know, having the wrong sensitivity, wrong DPI. That's what he blamed. But he looked very stiff in the first series against Team Heretics. But now, like after that game 3 that they played, it's like they're diving both lane on the setups. They're playing good lane matchups. Mickey is on his bullshit again, like playing the tempo game beautifully, setting up traps. It just seems that they are on the same page on actually like doing things in the game, and also when they have good advantages, they actually play disciplined. And I think that there is very little more that you can ask. Maybe Oscarino can do a better job on playing like the weak side in terms of how much he gives and how much he takes in terms of the waves and how he controls it, because he's giving up a little bit too many kills. But in regards to how everybody else operates, it just seems that there's a clear buy-in.
I'm not hitting at all. Holy shit.
And I also listened to like the Fnatic voice comms, and I was very impressed by Poe, because in terms of how he spoke in the interviews, it seemed like his English was like getting there. So it's really like entry level, you know, solid, but still entry level. But then it seems like when it comes to like the in-game concepts, he has figured out those sentences already, you know, like in terms of like, oh, we want to fight here, we want to punish here.
People were listening to him. They were actually like following his calls. It's wild. Yeah. He's actually the shot caller.
I noticed, like without listening to the voice comms, I noticed that game where he played Oriana against a Nocturne, where one time he got isolated, he got killed, and then suddenly in the game they adjusted. Suddenly Razork and of course Mickey, they just opened on his lane, put down vision, defended him, and it's just refreshing to see Fnatic play this way. I think an additional detail that I can imagine is that from the coaching staff, Duffman as a person, he was the person who revitalized G2's macro gameplay. He actually made
I might not have enough resources here. Why did the wiki recommend ranged? Oh ass. It's so cringe. 133. Ranged attack bonus. Oh. .105 with melee. My defenses are a lot higher though, with the exception of magic. You can't obtain another, but it's useless now anyway.
G2 a team that was more than just the early game centric team that snowballed with Kalista Draven and just won the whole league with like Ash Heimerdinger. He came into the team and revitalized them, and I do think I get the feeling that now with how Grabs managed things and the wake-up call that everybody involved got, that they are not safe in their seat and they are looking for replacements and they need to really take the chance that they do, also means that the coaching will also be more impactful. Because I do see like the Duffman flair to how they play. And I think that's super, super exciting in itself, is that if you get to the point where coaching and practice is actually relevant to how you perform and it's no longer random, it's also a super big plus because it means
Can you
that
give me
you can
any
actively
like
process.
anything that someone can look for in the game? What are the hallmarks, do you think, of like a Duffman type team? What should we look for?
I think the main thing is just it's like in terms of how the solo laners are capable of farming side.
Right.
In terms of how the support and the jungle open on the map and how quickly they base. Because you can see in Fnatic sequences, like jungle support push all the way. If the enemy leaves the tower, they press recall and instantly cross into the other side of the map, which just allows Poby to farm. Like Poby gets to farm super, super much. When you saw Fnatic in post-playoffs, it's like, oh, Humanoid gets caught on side. Or this guy gets caught here. Like, what is the cohesiveness? Like, when are we on the same point? When are we in the same timer in the game? I think that's like the main thing. Because I think an even bigger and better example is like the switch up between 2023 G2 and 2024 G2. That was like the G2 where Broken Blade and Caps were just like pushing deep side waves. And no matter what, teams in Europe couldn't figure out how to beat them. And they could just stall out games and games and games because they always got the side waves first. And this is just Duffman's doing. Like, I know that Duffman is the type of coach that specializes in things that interest him, and that is like the macro mid game and the setup preparation for the Drakes, and that's his thing. That's his wheelhouse. I think that's like a great approach for any like a coach or assistant coach or anyone that is striving to do something. Just become an expert on one thing. Become an expert on one thing. Be the one that shares that to teams and bring that to teams. Don't be the person that just wants to be good at everything, because you're not gonna be the best at anything. Then you're just gonna be average. And I think what Duffman does, finally, it's clear, because last splits we didn't see this shit at all.
Also, if no one saw, this is where Poby has actually turned out to sort of have like crazy depths we didn't even know about Yamato. Not only is he like shot calling fanatic and people like Razork around the map and they're like, hey, this is really good, but also he's like carrying the fucking banter of the league too. Like that thing where he just said on Twitter to Nook, like basically called him like a monkey or something, like fuck, you know. Listen, I'm loving it. On the one hand, Yamato, I'm loving it because he's shit talking Nook. That used to be my shit, believe it or not, Poby, but I appreciate it. But then also the only thing I have one little detail to add in though, and I don't know how you feel about this, so I want to get your take on this. I do always get a little bit nervous though, Yamato, where like an Asian, and I'm not talking about like, you know, a guy who's like second generation, he lives in America and then he like happens to be like, you know, ethnically Chinese or Korean. I'm talking about like a real Chinese or Korean person who was born there and is only in a Western region because they're playing League of Legends. I get really nervous though when Western players and teammates and fans tell them all shit like, oh, trash talk like this, call him like a bitch or whatever, you know. Because even though they think it's funny, right, the problem, like in this scenario, calling people monkeys, Yamato, is I can tell you from personal experience, you fuck around and call the wrong person that, mate, it's going to go from really funny to really tragic really quickly. So I just hope on that one that they're not doing that thing. Like, don't egg him on too much. Let him just go safely into this area, because there's certain people where he's going to say that and then it's all going to be sad. He's going to get cancelled, isn't he? Come on.
To be fair though, Nuke was the one who dropped the monkey. Like, he basically told, the first opening post was, I'm going to show you what's up. You basically just lane against monkey so far. Which I also thought was mental. I was like,
pretty
bro,
wild.
bro, you know, this is like, I don't take offense to it, and no one should, but I understand why, from a PR sense, this shit.
Just dangerous, you know. You never know.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I like Poby. You know, the main thing, my main concern as well is that he came off of playing in Korean solo queue. He came from playing Challenger. He came from maintaining he came in with good form right away. I'm interested to see how he maintains. Obviously, the skill vampires aren't as heavy-handed in the LEC as they are on LTA, but I'm also intrigued to see like how he would perform on a big stage. You know, it's like in front of like a super big crowd. Like these are new things that he will have to experience. But so far, I think he's exceeded everyone's expectation in terms of how good he has played. And
he's only got one game in the group left, mate. He's got G2. Mate, imagine if he actually walks in the LEC and just beats Caps and it's like, I guess you are Monkey too, or something like, fuck, you know?
No way.
Like at that point, just fucking get a throne ready. He's here. Poby is here. Also, by the way, even low-key, this does make me think even less of the West, though. We were all banging on Poby the whole time. He's absolute trash. He's even good at the game when he plays Faker 2 years ago. Now he's just walked into our region. He's just bossing it. Like, if this wasn't actually this format, this motherfucker would be like the MVP of the split or something.
Definitely, yeah. I wanted to highlight that too. He's been farming all of the homies. You know, he hasn't like. The Caps would be the first test, but even now, Caps' form didn't look that good. Like, Caps was getting outlaned by Camilo. That shouldn't happen. It's like, if I see Caps playing Orianna Victor matchup, I expect him to smoke him. And not the other way around, where Camilo's winning, because I see Camilo and Abadagi as like the worst two mid laners in the league. I see Camilo as the problem on Team Heretics that is holding them back from, you know, greener pastures, and the Caps wasn't looking good. So if there was any time to do it, to build, you know, like a trampoline of confidence and just jump off of Caps, this is the time to do it. Because looking at this matchup, I don't see why I wouldn't favor Fnatic based on what we've seen. If you want to take historical pretense and so forth, I think that's fair to put G2 as a favorite. But gameplay-wise, no nameplay, Fnatic has looked a lot better than G2.
No, amazingly, I didn't think I would say this, Yuato, but this actually feels like they've given me a new, fresh feeling to Fnatic, and they've upgraded it. It's a bit like actually HelloFresh itself. You probably know from past adverts. You think you know everything about HelloFresh. You know about the great
This boss has
ingredients, the
8.
chef-crafted meals. Well, I've got some news for you, because this is a new HelloFresh. It has been upgraded, and they've done their biggest menu upgrade yet, because they've doubled their menu, so it's now a bigger menu. You can choose from 100 options each week, including seasonal dishes and recipes from around the world. So you can also just get into more types of food you never had before. It is healthier. So now you can get more like high protein, veggie packed recipes. They've got all sorts to help you eat your greens and get 2 or more veggies in each sort of a meal. And in theory, it's even tastier, because you can get steak, seafood delivered every week, no extra cost. There's 3 times more seafood on the menu now at no additional cost. Discover new seasonal produce each week, from snap peas to stone fruit to corn on the cob and more. So how do you get it, you ask? Well, the best way to cook just got better. Go to hellofresh.com/LFN10FM now to get 10 free meals plus a free item for life, 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only, varies by plan. That's hellofresh.com/LFN10FM to get 10 free meals and a free item for life. Shout out to HelloFresh. Also, it's quite cool that they're actually always actively trying to change up the menu, keep it going. As I pointed out, one of the best things actually is where you like just keep it going in the background, and you like increase more at the time when you want more. You cycle through different dishes. You don't have to have the same things, but if you like the same things, you can. Shout out to HelloFresh. They obviously keep things fresher than even Fnatic themselves are. Right, the only thing is, though, the obvious team for me that I feel like is on the outside looking in is GX, though, bro. GX, listen, it's been the narrative the whole year, Yamato. They are the ones, that's why Kyoto talked shit at the beginning of the year. They started at the beginning of the year really well. They even had times last split where they were doing work at the home stands. This is the team that I've always felt like is supposed to make it like a big 5. It's not supposed to be the big 4, because I agree with you. If you take the big 4 names, even then G2 looks like they're threatening to drop out of that. But you take the big 4, what makes them cool, I agree, is they each have like a core strength the other one doesn't have, but then they each have like a fatal flaw. It's like some fucking... It's actually, the joke is, League, the game, terribly balanced. The actual LEC League, very well balanced right now. Got a sort of good mix match. It works. The problem with GX is they always look like they're just about to enter. They're always so close to beating teams, bro. They're always in matches. Like, it's funny, I talk like I only care about the top 4. I don't really. If I was telling the truth, if I had a gun to my head, Yamato, I care about the top 4, I care about GX, and then I care about probably Vitality. But if I actually look out at players, there's a world where Heretic's got a better mid lane, and maybe I'd care about them. You know, if BDS actually, the roster ever works, maybe I'll care about them. The problem is, though, I do on some level still care about GX. Like, I do look at that squad, and I'm like, actually, there is still a world where you should be able to, like, get some upset wins. You should be able to challenge the top. What do you think of where this squad's at the moment?
GX, I said, Isma, I think he's playing some of his greatest league. The main thing that hurts me about this team, I think it's so close to being good. It's just that I think the biggest disappointment is just Jackie's. What is Jackie's doing?
True.
Like, Jackie's, for me, it's like the way I framed the conversation around Fnatic in their offseason. I was like, they should have gotten Jackie's. That would have been an exciting prospect. Put him on a team that is elevated with strong players and see how fast he grows.
Yeah.
But now, like, he has had some games where he just borderline, like, solo lost it. And I thought that he was going to be the mid laner that keeps up and stands up. But
what do you think one of the weirdest things about
just...
Mato is he has like a vibe to me of like a solo queue player, bro. It doesn't look like he connects with the team. He just does his own plays.
But he's just the equivalent of European Zeka right now. Like, he just had like periods and stints where he was like really good, that gets you excited on like the Zeri or the Yone, and like he has games where he's competitive. And now he like resorts back to those picks, like the Silas game where he picked it where it was horrible to pick it, and just borderline like just solo lost the game, which was super disappointing. There's some matchups I just have a way higher expectation.
I thought it was 14k.
Other things are falling into place for him.
Okay.
Like he carried games when his team was weak, and now his team is better, and now he's underperforming. It's just a very, very bad timing. Because I think that could have been the difference between them maybe winning some of these series.
They could win some of these series for sure.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And it would have changed everything, because the issue now is that the format doesn't allow you to get away with this. Maybe if this was the opening series in the previous format, I would be like, oh, this is exciting. This is something they can build on. But now you're going to be thrown into the lower bracket right away. The top 4 teams have an immense advantage. The advantage is ridiculous in terms of how much you get away, because you're basically one BO5 away from Worlds, and then you have to do the lower bracket run from the other teams. I think it's tough, because definitely I think Noah, June, Isma, like they are playing. I think Lot is also solid. He's finding angles to play. Mechanically, this is a team that can keep up, but like the main thing is this is supposed to be the split where Jackie's like proves himself again. He's supposed to become a big fish here, but it just seems like the pond is too big for him now.
To echo what you're saying, if someone went back in time a year ago to the summer split of last year, there were two players, Yamato, who were in the league. There was Jackie's on the XL team, and then there was Vladdy had just been added to Carmine Corp. And at the time, they were both similar sorts of players. They're like players that clearly have like aggressive playing styles, mechanical players. They also like playmaking champions, clearly. And at the time, initially, Jackie's was actually the better of the two, mate. He was the one who'd had time to develop in XL. And he was popping off, mate. He was having like games where I always told people there are so many times I would bet on them, but it wouldn't be the bet of like they win the series. It would be the one if they just win one game. Because I'm like, mate, give him his pick, give him the Zeri, and he'll win a game. He'll just carry one. So if you told me a year later, I mean, Vladdy himself's having his issues, but that Vladdy's the much more respected player who's in a better position, he can play that would almost seem like what happened to Jackie's. Because I'm with you. I actually thought, look, he's in a tougher spot than Vladdy. He has a worse team in theory, and all. But at the same time, he doesn't have like a bad roster though, mate. Like you can have your question marks about some of the top side players, especially the jungler. But I think he's got a very stable bot lane who's playing together now for a long time. You know exactly how they're going to play the game. You've got a coach, by the way, who's a very veteran coach and wants to win and will enable to play. I'm with you. I actually think, unfortunately, it's not just like, oh, he's stuck in GX. Like he's now one of the problems in GX. Like if he actually played the way his potential looked like and had developed in this last year, like he could have done, he could be like a very good player right now at LEC. I know what you mean. He's sort of I think for me, his development sort of stalled a little bit. I thought he would be further on the line by now, mate.
This is just. I remember earlier in the year, me and Dom did a Sackdown episode with him, and we basically like raised the questions like, how would we rate the teams and the mid laners? And, and me and Dom were very honest with him, you know, like where we rated GX and his team. And it was like very low because he rated himself very high. And I don't know if it's correct. I think it's just coincidental.
Like, who does he think he's better than? Who does he think he's better than?
Like, I'm trying to remember at the time, but like he was very, he really believed in like GX and the team. Like, but obviously it's like you talk about your team and you talk about yourself. You need to put up that front. But ever since then, I feel like there's been like a steady kind of decrease in performance from Jackie's, because now at this point it's like this is the team to do it. This is the time to do it. There's like your season's gonna be over in a couple of weeks. This is the time to be good and to be performing. And I'm in pain for him, you know, because I do think keeping the perspective that players can be good for one split and maintaining that is really, really difficult. I think I wish that the community held on to that more, because something that I've been wrestling with now is like people telling me, like, why is Milky Way Elo held? It's like, no, he was great 2024 spring split, and then he's had a steady downfall ever since. People need to let go of that and hold on, like let go of that. Maybe this is the time for us to let go of the past too, because at this point I need Jackie's to prove himself again.
Oh, great. Agreed. Because I put it this way, I know what you mean, because I'll give you the obvious example now. He's another one of those names that if we went back earlier in the year, maybe I would be picking him as like, he should replace Humanoid and Fnatic and get his chance, you know. But I know what you mean. Right now, I wouldn't give him it. Like, right now, I don't know that he'd even use those pieces. Like, the joke is, even though we've only seen 2 weeks of him, Porpy looks better right now. He really does. And he's better for the team. So why would I make that move? That's another thing I also want to throw out there, by the way. This is something I had to tell some of my players I like Forgiven and Upset back in the day, is even if you are actually a good player on a bad team, like you have a team that does hold you back, you can never win with this team, certain players just bad, or certain interactions just don't work in the game. Listen, you can like look good in losses, but it can never look like you're selfishly looking good in losses, Yamato. Because I'll tell you what, that is what will make those bigger teams not want to take a chance on you. Because they'll just even say that as Corp. They'll be like, well, yeah, you're good, but it's because you're just like not playing the proper team concept, or you're not trying to do the. In a way, even though it's going to be really hard to do, you have to still like buy into the concept, even if it means you die and look silly sometimes. That actually will go a long way, because if I am if I'm going to gamble on this guy, I have to believe that when I put him in a top team, he's not going to do it. Because I'll tell you a player that it scares me about when I think about this sort of player, and it is, if you remember, the rise of Vetio. Mate, didn't we all look on Misfits and go, this guy's fucking unbelievable? Bro, give him a squad. Wouldn't he be sick? And what we learned was certain flaws maintain even in bigger squads. Even when he was on super teams, he had certain aspects of the game that didn't work, and that wasn't because his teammates and Misfits were shit. You put entirely new teammates around him and the same problem occurred. So I think if you notice, people are a little bit more tempered now on like newer LEC talents. We don't just crown them immediately. People wait to see if they're going to fall. Because I know what you mean. Like at the end of this split, Jackie's could be right back where he began when he came in the LEC. Like, you're just an all right player that came in the LEC. You have some good games, but the top teams aren't going to hunt you, mate. You're stuck at this spot. Which is sad, because if you play your cards right this year, you could be in like a fucking top 3 team next year. That was right on the table, I think. Think about how many things went differently this year. Jojo started the year all rough. Humanoid himself was never going to be there forever. Who the fuck? By the way, I doubt Caps is retiring, etc. So maybe G2's not, but everyone else in theory has got teams that are. Maybe Vadi's even going to be benched. Who knows? Like, again, you know what I said earlier in the episode? This is a perfect example of someone to apply it to. Jackie's. Bro, if you'd have actually been ready for this opportunity now, and you looked like the best player, not called fucking Caps, basically, in mid lane, you would probably get an amazing offer for next season. But instead, people are going to look and go, nah, maybe I'll wait a bit on that. Let's see how he does next year. They're not going to gamble on you. And I do think that's rough, because I also think this is why I've defended Giotto so much. Because I look at his roster, and he's not supposed to be top 3 with his roster. Come on, bro. So I actually like the idea he's willing to talk shit and stimulate the scene. I know he's working with lesser players, but I also think if you're a good coach, you can get more out of them than you expect, you know. So I want GX to be good, but like I said, they always just come right up to the borderline of being good and then take a step back for me at the last second.
You know, I don't follow Giotto for this year, but I have to look at Team Liquid. I have to look at Origin. I have to look at Schalke. These teams didn't make Worlds, man. These are super rosters that didn't make Worlds. You know, these are the ones that I hold them accountable for. For this year, I think fair play. I think they are where they are supposed to be, you know, in terms of the context of it all. But if they want to break it through, Jackies needs to step up to the plate. But the issue is, like, I want to just highlight the format. There's a world where they play 2 more series for the rest of the year. They play Na'Vi, and they won BO5, and then suddenly they're out because they don't have a Guardian Angel. Like, how ridiculous is that? That the year might be over in just no time.
I just appreciate, I forgot about that, Yamato. I forgot that you're basically on that shit of like, Giotto, brother, you had fucking Bjergsen and Bwipo and Hansama. You are not making Worlds? You had Mithy and fucking Patrick and all these others and Nuke Dog. No Worlds? I am only making Worlds with Chex Notes, Attila, Gilius, Adam top lane, Rollswap Bwipo. Okay, I see how it is, Yamato. I see how it is, homie.
Yeah, it is. Oh, shit, bro. I thought you were lining up to flame me somehow, you know? I thought you're lawyering up here.
If you're using that one angle, technically you can actually talk shit to Giotto about that. Like, as you say, you had some, like, undervalued name rosters that went to Worlds, mate. He did have some giant rosters that were supposed to be in the Women in Finals, but they never got, you're right, they never got there. They never got there, mate. They always felt the last hurdle. I always felt the last hurdle. It's not looking good now either, I'm telling you. So that might be another year, I'm afraid. I'll add that on the list. Do you know what would be spicy? I'll throw it out there just to be mad. Sadly, I actually think this is the end of Humanoid's career. I think that in itself is sad, Yamato. If he really doesn't give a fuck and he doesn't play anymore at the end of his contract. Do you know why I think it's sad? Because if he still cares, here's what would be cool. Why can't Humanoid be like the GX mid laner or the Herex mid laner or the Vital? You know what I mean? Mate, you could still be a fucking good player in this league. And if you go to the right team, by the way, maybe Mac and Pad are the guys you need. Maybe Giotto, who knows? If you get the right coaches, you could actually make the league wave more fucking hype too. I actually low-key, look, if his heart isn't in it, Yamato, then yeah, okay, retire. Go for it. This isn't sports where you just play for 10 years more so you can have a nice pool and your kids can go to a fucking private school. If you don't care, leave. But if you care at all, mate, you might fucking Humanoid absolutely could still be a viable player. And he could make, and if there's like a GM, he could make another team good. He could make a team a playoff team or put them in the hunt for Worlds, you know. Don't you think so?
He's so insanely talented. He's one of the most talented European players of all time. Like, that's I think he's great. Like Caps, the main issue, the difference between Caps and everybody else is that he was insanely talented, and also he has the head in the best place possible, you know, like in terms of enjoying the game, the joy for the game, and just being in it for all of the right reasons. He just wants to win, be on the best team possible, and that's all he cares about. So it's like, it's just a mix of all of these things. Humanoid has talent comparable to that, but like on the outside in terms of the leadership and being a teammate and the motivation being in the right place. Because, you know, if history looked a little bit different, if there was a world where, let's say, Fnatic decided, you know, moving into, let's say, 2024. I'm trying to keep track of which year it is, 2025 now. But let's say they moved into 2024, they moved on for Fnatic. They picked up Jackie's, Fnatic picked up Jackie's, and then Humanoid was picked up by the revitalized, you know, Elioya, Alvaro, and all of a sudden Humanoid's on that team. Like all of a sudden, I think that everything would just look so different, because I think Humanoid would work super well together with Elioya again, and on a team that just has a no bullshit policy, I feel like, in that team in terms of how they approach things. I think he would thrive in such an environment. But then it's just the timing of it all, and then like Fnatic continuing. In the end, that was bad for Fnatic, but also bad for him. But I'm with you. If there's ever a time, if he comes back and he comes back the right way, I really believe like Humanoids is the type of player that you know is insanely good. Like, I think the talent is just all there, but it needs to be for the right reasons, definitely.
Oh, I'm with you. I also think, like, because I hope people realise, I might not think Humanoid was responsible in Fnatic, and I think in Fnatic he had times to let himself and he let the team down. But people have got to stop this like ridiculous thing where you're either the best player or you're like the most subhuman trash who can ever play the game ever. Like, if you're a player of that level, it's actually one of the things I don't like about League, is that in general people do just like shoot for the top, or they just say, fuck it, and just retire. Like, in a weird way, even though I know this didn't work out very well in reality, I do want the double Fs and the Bjergsons, once they're not winning anymore, to still play for a couple extra years, so that then the joke is, then a Masao or a Quid gets to play against you and get his level up and his rep up, and then he can, that's how you transition to the next era of stars in the league. It's kind of sad if you just like, I don't win anymore, I retire. It's a bit like boxers, like the ones that just retire once they lose the title finally. It's like, I want to see you fight a couple more times, mate. You know, have like a legacy fight, have a cool one for the fans, just pick an entertaining opponent, you know. And I just think, I agree with you. I think as much as you can criticize, I don't know, let's say commitment to the game, or how he dealt with his teammates, or what sort of a leadership figure he was, you cannot criticize Humanoid's talent level. I agree with you, mate. It's why I do think, and sadly you've coached a bunch of them, I do think along with people like Self-Made, etc., these are just fabulously talented figures, and I'm sorry, it is an absolute tragedy when they don't make use of that talent, when they're never able to get, because I agree, the real secret, the real mastery that someone like Caps has isn't even how good he is at the game. It's that he got all the gifts in terms of like the ability and the talent, but then he didn't get the curse of like the bad attitude. You know what I mean? It's why there's certain players in history, like, almost no one gets it all. That's the thing. Caps is one of the rare ones where he's simultaneously loves the game, doesn't have a bad attitude, he's fucking awesome at it, and he also likes to practice. Normally, you have one of those is missing. Like, I'll give you an example. So my favourite player was Froggen, obviously. Listen, really good player, mega diligent, by the way. He would even play in the whole off-season if he didn't qualify for Worlds. His problem was, maybe he wasn't the best leader, maybe he wasn't as good interacting with teammates and stuff. Sometimes you get the guy where they can play the game loads, but they're actually just not as good at the game. They put in all the hours, but there's talents there. So rare you get them all. So look, Humanoid's just another sad victim of that, where it's like a could have been guy. But the idea this is the end of his career is whack. Surely it isn't. Surely not. Even if, like I said, here's the other one. Surely he can just go away, take next year off. Consider at the end of the year, if you don't like it, if you enjoy having time off, yeah. But maybe you come back in 2027. How about that? Maybe you have 1 year off, it resets you. You figure out what you want from the game still. You come back. By the way, at this point in time, an obvious angle for him, I think, would be pick someone you want to play. Do you want to play with Kazi again? Then you two get on a team. Figure out there'll be a mid-late level team that would take both of you. Get on that squad. Get the right jungler to fit your style of play. Get a coach that buys into your strengths and make a fucking squad. You can still play. It's also, like I said earlier, you can have new talents come in the league, but they're not going to be humanoid. We also can't just lose our talents like that, bro. We can't just have them just fuck off and leave the whole region. We need these players to make the other people sharp, to make all the squads good.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking, like I said, if you think of like a Herex type team, mate, if they had humanoid, they would actually be a good team. Can you imagine that team with like Shio? Like, that team would fucking cook, bro.
100%, yeah. But we just need to be a patient version of humanoid. I'm with you 100%. The passing of the torch is so important.
I agree.
In terms of, it's like the transition. It's like how the Greeks lived. It's like first you were a student, and then you were a soldier, and then a politician or whatever, philosopher, you know. I think it's the same in esports. Like first you're a player, then you should, you know, you should keep playing until the point where you transition into a coach, and then you transition into a head coach. You know, that transition happens in Korean esports, and that's why like you have all these legendary players coaching now. It's like that passing of the torch in Europe is like the big hiccup, and the pain in performance is still that year 2020 moving into 2021, where we had like Nemesis disappearing, Perks fucking off to North America because G2 blocked it, and it was just like the dissolution of like that legacy continuing and building onto something, and that can really put the hurt on, especially in the context of Perks, because he was masterminding all the GMing for the longest time. Just imagine a world where Perks joined My Fnatic that year, and Reckless would have stayed with Hilly, and all of a sudden it's like we have a team that can crush maybe the G2, and then Upset would be on G2, and then all of a sudden we have like this rivalry that is completely nuts and insane. But in the end, the trajectory just went entirely different.
No, I'm with you. Like, one of the saddest things is, in Europe, especially mid lane, has been the role where we've produced all these amazing, like, generations of players. And if you think there was that generation where at the same exact time you had Caps, fucking Nemesis, Humanoid, Niski, Larson, all at the same time, but Vethio was coming up, like, that fucking period looked amazing. Whereas you look now, and it's like we've had to reset because Nemesis fucked off, stopped competing. Humanoid did whatever he's done with his career the last few years, which is a bit whack. Larson's just got worse and his team's terrible. Niski's not even an active player. Perks is fucking gone. Like, we've had to just reset, and people always need to remember, even though we criticised them earlier, Jackies and Vladdy are still essentially rookies to me, but they're really young in their careers. Like, at least in Vladdy's case, he's been accelerated because he got to, like, be in the championship already, he got to go to first stand already. Like, he's had some extra experiences, but these people, like, realistically, it still took people like Nemesis and Larson all Humanoid years to get to the peak they were at, where they could get close to Caps, you know. So I also agree, you just can't waste talent. If you want to look at a region and you want everyone to be good, you need that talent also to play each other. You need them to, like, push each other to the next level. Because I don't know about you, Yamato, but I really do believe that. You know, when fans who are classic, you know, you were saying earlier, the Messi Ronaldo thing, right? You know, there's a temptation if you're a fan of a player like that to say this dreaded line that I think is wrong, but I get the temptation. The temptation goes like this, Yamato. You go, I'll give you an example. If you're a Messi fan, you go, if there was no Ronaldo, Messi would have just won like 12 Ballon d'Ors, and, you know, he would have been like the GOAT player from, like, complete. But the point is, I don't actually think that's true. I actually think, from observing these players, the rivalry is part of what keeps you locked in with any of these players. I really do think Messi and Ronaldo pushed each other. I do think, like, you know, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. I think all these people, like, that's what keeps you sharp, mate. That's what means even when you win, you don't just go, well, I can chill out now. You know that guy's coming for you next time to get the title, and he wants it bad. And then when he gets it, brother, if he gets on top of this rivalry, maybe he just takes over and wins everything. Like, I think that's the best experience. Why the real tragedy, by the way, of Rogue being destroyed was that they destroyed the roster right after they finally beat G2. Mate, I can tell you, I will bet G2 were the happiest people ever after that off-season. Bro, they not only changed their roster, but, like, they would have had their own psychological wound if you'd have had a real Rogue roster the next team, where they'd have had to, like, overcome you. They didn't have to, because you cut your own balls off, as it were. You destroyed your own chances. So, no, I think it's just sad. Just a sad state of affairs.
It's also so evident it's like Frogen was the point of inspiration for everybody. How many Danish mid laners did we have?
Of course.
Jankos was the point of inspiration. How many Polish junglers do we have?
Yep.
Faker as a point of inspiration. How many insane Korean mid laners have we had? You know, it's like
That's how you know all the Slovenian support players are really lazy. Mickey X is just doing it. Where are you all? You're all fucking watching. Slovenian support, whoever you are. Whoever you are. There's only one of you, apparently, but don't worry about it. It's all good.
Nice. Something I wanted to highlight is just in regards to the other teams, because Vitality, like Vitality BDS, I feel like we need to talk about these two a little bit at least. Because Vitality,
they should be better on paper. Come on, they should be better than they are. Sure.
I don't know. I feel like we've reached a point now where I am even getting, like, so disappointed by how Kazi is playing. You know,
he's had a bad half a year, mate. Yeah.
I don't know I don't know if it's gotten to the point where it's like him, like, extending his hand every day, waiting for something to happen. Maybe there's, like, insane fatigue there, but But right now, it's like Kazi moved from being a player that in some off season was like, oh, any team should want him. And then he decided to stay with the Vitality roster and do this thing here. But it's like he's losing all his credibility too. It's like coming into the next off season, I don't see why people should be like super excited about Kazi. Like the other names are just doing better, and he's not really doing anything that stands out. And at times, even a liability on this team. It's like, I don't know what Vitality are doing in terms of their identity too, because another detail is the fact that, like, in terms of how they set up their team, like in the first initial games, I'm like, why the hell is Nakanako playing tanks? Do you have any understanding of what makes your teams good or bad? I just don't know what Vitality, like Mac and Pad, what have they built over the last 2 years? This was supposed to be the 2-year project where certain decisions were made. They acquired Linsas on like a buyout, and they had this vision of everything, how everything is going. And this is supposed to be the period where you are reaping the reward. What is the reward? It's just more of the same. You brought in Niski as a support. You brought in Fleshy that is not solving any of your problems because he's not good enough. You burnt Hilly completely. You made all the decisions along the way. You burnt Douglas and you brought in Linsas. It's like, what did we gain here? And it comes back to that statement from Neil, you know? It's like, we don't get top 4, the coaches are fired, but it's like, I get it, you know? It's just how it needs to be, because these 2 years have been very wasteful. And I imagine from Vitality's side, it's like, they haven't had a great year since 2018, and that must sting.
Put it this way, one of the things I was saying to Peter Dunn on the Best Damn League show about this exact move, because he also was talking about this topic, is this is why if you're Kazi, you can actually be like too good a teammate sometimes. Because this guy took 2 years of his actual prime as an ADC and just burned them on Hylissang. And Hylissang irresponsibly inted a whole bunch of those splits away and meant that no matter how well Kazi played, like I used to think it when in those Mad Lions and then this Vitality roster, Kazi must have had the most crazy mental fortitude of any player, because it looked like he would still just play the game properly. Hylissang would fuck up the game and int it, and then he'd just lose and go, it's all right, Hylissang, we'll get him tomorrow, pal, and then give him a hand. But the reason why I bring this up is because it also means that initially, when this team was doing bad this year, we also still all focused on Hylissang. And I wonder now if we went back, Yamato, if I went back last split and the split before that, and I looked when he had Niski, and I looked when he had Hylissang, I wonder if I could already still see some of the cracks of Kazi. Because I think a lot of us were giving him a pass. We were like, it's not your fault, Hylissang. Niski's brand new to the role. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's sending it in. But part of me wonders, because I have to say, that was your get out of jail free. We all knew you didn't have like a top support player or a proper support player. Now, you have no excuse now. You just have to play real League of Legends. And unfortunately, it looks like that period when you were amazing is gone. That's a year or two ago now. Sad.
I think like the way I would describe Hilly from working with him 2 years is the equivalent of, let's say, it's like if your cat is sick, it's not gonna show you, not gonna tell you.
Okay.
You just have to figure it out. And if you manage to decipher it, then it's really, really rewarding. But usually it's like on every team Hilly's been on, him underperforming has always been like the canary in the coal mine of something being, you know, inherently wrong. I think at times when I spoke to Hilly, he didn't even understand it either, but he is actively trying to win the game at a level that he believes should be played. And in that process is going to do shit that looks super, super dumb. And obviously I'm super biased because I love Hilly. I get that. I can say that, and everyone's going to say that too. But Hilly as a player, definitely, when he underperforms, is usually it's like the roots. There's something underneath that is like, that is not being addressed. And if you don't manage to address that when Hilly is gone, everything kind of comes to light in a different way. Because there were times with Hilly, it's like if his teammates are not like finding the engages, not taking fights, and they're just slowly bleeding, he's not going to tolerate that. He's not a player that tolerates, like, he's going to try something just to do something rather than to die slowly. And at times that can be a very problematic thing, because some teams you just beat by doing less and doing nothing, and you will lose games that you shouldn't be losing because you can get away with playing, let's say, worse than what Hilly aspires for. But I do think, like, it pains me how Hilly's career ended, because it's like, what was the point of all of this? I don't think Fleshy is super exciting. Like Fleshy, I can't even count him as a rookie, right? It's like, this is a player that's been around for a very long time. He's been playing super, super long, and he has experience playing in EMEA Masters and so forth. It's the same way I wouldn't call like the Koi players when they came through after being on Movie Star, like plain and simple rookies. Like the story of Kalist and Vlad, they're very different because they're very young. You know, they're very young and impressionable. So it's very different. And this is one of those cases where I think it's the same. I don't know where Vitality go from here because I think coming into next year they just need to rebuild again.
Now, I would like to switch topics and discuss what is going to be an infrequent but occasional segment on this show. We've referenced it in the past, Yamato. I'll paste it here so it's easy for you to see. But if you could please refer. They're back at it again. WhatsApp community is at it again. Yamato, I still don't know who is the WhatsApp community of League of Legends. At this point, I think I might have to set you some homework. I need you to infiltrate the WhatsApp community and find out, is this real? Where is it? What happens there? Because LOL Esports can't stop doing these fucking polls of their apparent LOL Esports WhatsApp community again. I don't even know who uses WhatsApp like that, but okay, apparently people do. And they've done another one of their infamous polls, and this one said, who is the most underrated pro player of all time? Interesting question, by that. So I thought we'd bring it up. And the winner in this poll actually is Owner from T1. Now, I'll just let you answer first. What do you think of that? What do you think of him being the most underrated pro? Obviously, look, there's going to be some recent spies, but what do you think of that? Is that a reasonable pick, do you think?
I think it's really unreasonable because it comes from a place, because I know where this comes from. It comes from a place where people want the community to rate Owner as the best jungler of all time.
Oh, right.
That's where it comes from.
Right, I see what you mean.
I know exactly where these votes come from. Because these are people that think that Owner is better than Canyon. These are the people that think Beryl is better than Carrier. You know, these are the people. So I recognize this. I can clock these people from a mile away, and I think that from that lens, it doesn't make any sense because Owner is a player that constantly gets praised, especially the last couple of years. In the first years of ZFJK, he got a lot of flack, but rightfully so. He was very inconsistent. He had like regular season games that were just bad, and then he like stepped up to the plate in playoffs, and then sometimes played very bad in finals. I remember there was this whole meme about Owner and Carrier and him never ganking bot. Like everyone remembers that at MSI, where his bot lane got dove and they couldn't play matchups, and the enemy jungle was just breaking the bot lane. Yeah, like Owner was kind of lost on the map. Like he was getting criticized, rightfully so. And now that he's playing consistent, he's playing well, he's being praised, rightfully so. I don't think that there is ever a situation where a T1 player can ever be underrated, just because of how the community.
I know what you mean.
I don't think that can ever be true.
Because here's what's funny. I initially wasn't as against this because I wasn't thinking like from the T1 fan angle. And if I was thinking, like, for example, I do think this year T1's had so much drama when they've had times where they weren't the best team in Korea that I do think in this year he might have been like mildly underrated because I thought he was awesome the whole year, man. I think this might be the best year of his career in my opinion. I think he looks fucking great almost every week I see him play. He's also doing it in all senses. Like his intuition's great on the map. His hands look phenomenal, by the way. Like he's had a really good champion pool. He's actually quite adapted quite well to Fearless, it looks like. So in that sense, but I know what you mean. If people are doing it for like, he's actually the best jungler ever, like, well, then you've gone way too far the other way on that one. Like he isn't. Spoiler, he isn't. Like he just, like Canyon, in my opinion, does clear him by quite a lot. I don't even know if I'd have him top 3 junglers of all time. There's been some really amazing jungle players who've been very special at that role. When I look at this list, here's what's funny, Yamato. I think this list, this is why I joke about who is the League of Legends WhatsApp community. I think this list is pleb as fuck. Like the idea like Expecki and Nemesis are here, or Beryl. People say Beryl's the fucking GOAT support. Like, here's what's funny. The actual name, I think, is the obvious one on this list that should win, in my opinion, but it didn't. It has 2%. Is Xiao Hu. Bro, Xiao Hu is the most underrated, because if people don't get it, remember, I'll just point out again, this guy won MSI back when it was him and Uzi. He won MSI when he was a top laner playing fucking Lucian and shot calling. Then he won MSI where he was a mid laner again with like fucking Gala as the ADC and Bin as top lane. This guy just fucking he made a Worlds Finals when he had no business to. He made LPL Finals when he had no business. He's been the MVP of the NBA. This guy actually, like, of all the names on that list, I feel like he's easily the most underrated, mate. Like, he's got an unbelievable resume and an insane body of work. Like, for me, I think he should be in everyone's top 10 league players ever. Like, I think he's unbelievable. But I feel like when I in my brain think of fan opinions, I don't think fans have him anywhere close to that, mate. Like, I feel like for fans, I feel like they forget he even exists, mate. I think if you ask them, like Chinese mid laner, they just think of Knight. That's it. I think this guy's always been somewhat slept on. So I'm kind of shocked that he's not even top 3 on this, mate. Like fuckers, like Nemesis has more than him. Like Nemesis doesn't even play League of Legends. He's playing fucking like for fun on a stream team. Like surely it's Xiaohu. Come on, that resume is mad slept on.
Zhao is a very, very strong pick. It's like I think Zhao is borderline faker with worse teammates in terms of like what he's been and his longevity and how he has performed as a player and rose to the occasion. And then of course the caveat that he has had international performances, and the reason that the moniker Spring King is for a reason, right? That's like the main takeaway.
He's had some bad runs himself for sure. Yeah.
But I think like Perks is also a great shout. There's always these players like these players that have like a bad year, and that's the memory that sticks. It's like,
well, I mean, in his case, the thing you have to realize as well, Yamato, is Perks already had some dodgy players in Cloud9. That was 2021. So if someone's a new fan, they don't remember the real Perks, mate. They think he just was overrated or he was like some gassed up player, right?
And it's like we know Perks' career. We know what he did. Like 2016, he just came on to the LEC and started smoking everybody with Trick, and you know the aggressiveness of their approach in their off seasons as well. I think was spearheaded by Perks and Ocelot, of course. And Perks was insane for the longest duration. Even as an AD, the role swap once again was absolutely insane. But even the 2021 year on C9. His bad plays are stood out, whether it was like not Tryndamere ulting or his Renekton. But he also made quarters at Worlds with the North American team. He won the split. Like he rose to the occasion when it was necessary and did so with the roster that, you know, at an international stage people didn't expect much out of. So even that year I think is like extremely underrated. He came back at the super teams that didn't work on Vitality, but I just think it was more connected to the changing of times rather than him. Like he couldn't do what he did in past teams the same way and couldn't piece it together, because I think that he needed to put a lot more focus on his individual play rather than doing, you know, the chess moves within the team to make everyone, you know, just rally around him. But I do think Perks is very underrated.
No, the funny thing is, I actually think that that's actually an area I think people like Perks and Zhao who share a similar sentiment, right? Which is one of the careers I think is beautiful in League. It's just sadly that 2021 Worlds, FPX fucked up the group stage and really tragically. Look, shout out to Tian, he was definitely a big part of that. But one thing I always thought was amazing about Doinby's career is Doinby went from mainly just this captain shot caller figure to he put loads of effort in those last couple of years, mate, on his individual like laning and shit. He got like way better individually, and it meant that towards the end of his career, sadly they fucked up that 2021 Worlds, he could have won as like the star, not just like the one telling everyone else what to do. But the problem is people like Perks and Zhao who they got way too much into that identity of like I'm the captain and the one who makes this macro call, and it's like they forgot that you have to also be really good in fucking lane, and you have to be a really good like individual mid laner, because that will then like amplify those extra skills that you have. So I know what you mean, because by the end Perks just went way too far on the idea that like if I make one amazing macro call at the end of the game, we win the game. Whereas it's like, mate, why are you in that position every game? If you realize if you were just up in CS every game in mid lane and you had strong power picks, you wouldn't need to make a hero call. Like you would just win a normal game where you're the one that goes to the Baron and they have to do the flip and the crazy dive in smite. Like I know what you mean. Some players like they just take for granted like a strength. And I always think if you lean on a strength, like then your weakness is what always kills you. You know what I mean? Whereas if you notice the great players, you work on your weakness. That way you don't have a weakness. You know, once you get that to a certain level, your strength just takes over and you win. You can't be beaten.
And that's why you and I love Rookie. That's why we love Rookie.
All right. Well, we ran a little bit dry on Permit Plunder, but it's fine because it's like I don't have 81 thieving yet, so right now a run has about 1 in 120 chance of getting a scepter. So yeah, it's fine. It is fine. I'll keep at it, and maybe we'll hit level 21, level 81 thieving along the way. I do need 2 scepters, one for the player-owned home and one for just using until I have enough construction levels. All right. Oh, well, I also need that for the clue scrolls. So yeah, I need to get 2. But anyways, that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna get off, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.